In a time of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. George Orwell. Yeah. This is Blood Politics. The only podcast where we don't talk about politics. We be about politics. And our mission statement is to empower, educate, and encourage everyone to speak out against fascism. Speak out against injustice and fight for freedom and equality for everyone. This is Blood Politics, and we ain't stopping till they put us in the grave. We ain't gonna be quiet, and we ain't gonna be scared, and we ain't gonna go along with the crowd. This is Blood Politics.
What do you say? What do you say? What do you do?
Because ain't
Honestly, I didn't think
StreamYard
StreamYard was going to let this happen today. I didn't think StreamYard was going to let us go live today. Been struggling with them all goddamn morning. So finally, they let me on. I was able to set up some semblance of a show. So I appreciate you for joining me. Thank you guys so much. It is the 10th of May. It is Sunday. Thank you guys so much for joining us. First and foremost, welcome in. Thank you. And happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. Thank you so much if you are spending a little bit of your time here with me on your special day. From everybody here at Blunt Politics, from my family to yours, thank you so much to all of the kind, compassionate, selfless, caring, loving, amazing, gifted, talented, independent, all of the good things that you have to say about the mothers that are out there. So thank you so much to those of us, not to those of us, to those of you who, made it possible for us to be here. So happy Mother's Day. Make sure we're sending out love and happiness and good vibes to all the moms in the chat. If you haven't called your mom yet, I don't know what the hell you're waiting for. Like, if you haven't called by now, hop out of the goddamn chat, make a quick phone call. Shouldn't take you long, right? It'll be you'll feel fulfilled. I can tell you that much. So welcome in, one and all. I appreciate you guys. Like I said, happy Mother's Day. Let's say hi to the chat. Thank you guys so much for joining me here today. What's going on, Rocks? Thank you to all of the mods there today, all of the mom mods as well. Happy Mother's Day. Thank you so much for taking the time out again of your special day to help, clear out the nonsense and the bullshit there in the chat. So very much appreciated. What's going on, Dustin? What's going on, Tamra? How are you, Julie? How's everybody doing? What's up, Corrine, over on Twitch? How are you, Gamer? I see you over there. What's up, Ian? I see you on Facebook. What's up, Will? What's up, Wes? Alyosha, what's going on, my main man on Twitch? Dyslexic Fingers, what's going on? Mozart, how are you? Yeah, happy Mother's Day to everybody. Feliz Dia de la Madre. It's going to be a nice day. Hopefully the sun's shining where you're at. We're going to have somewhat of a laid-back show. Somewhat, like I said, I was unable to kind of set up the show as I normally would because of StreamYard's baloney that they were dealing with this morning. So, we'll fly through all of the nonsense, the craziness. We got, obviously, Iran, allegedly responding to, Slacks. What's up, brother? What's going on, my friend? Slava Ukraine, Heroyam Slava, right back to you. Much love, brother. Happy Mother's Day to all moms. Love to all Bryantologists. Right back at you, Slacks. Thank you so much for the love, for the shout out to all the moms in the chat and all the moms that are watching later. Happy Mother's Day. We'll continue to say it here. So thank you, Slacks. Started off in the right direction. But yeah, lots to talk about. Like I said, Iran responding to Trump's alleged 14-point deal. We got Netanyahu throwing Donald Trump under the bus pretty blatantly, if I do say so myself. He was on with 60 Minutes, so we'll take a look at that clip. Benny Johnson, Kremlin Benny, is back to simping for the Russians, doing his part for, being involved in all that whole tenant media thing. So he's back trying to, again, make it seem like Donald Trump ended the war in Ukraine, which he absolutely didn't. We'll be taking a look at Russia's Victory Day parade embarrassment. I'm kind of see if I could try to do like a side-by-side comparison of previous past Victory Day parades to kind of the embarrassment that was the other day. And then we got Don Jr. spewing some nonsense while he laughs his way all the way to the bank, raking in millions from Pentagon contracts because of his father. And then obviously we got a bunch of Lego videos that I wanted to dive into as well. So hopefully you'll stick around for that. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. You can be like Bobby Slacks. and kind of send in a super chat, super sticker, a gift in the chat there would be fantastic. There's a Venmo up in the corner you guys can take a picture of as well. Send you right to the Venmo. It's probably the easiest, quickest, most direct way to help the channel. And again, all we ask for is $1 or $2, nothing crazy. Anything above and beyond that's totally 100% up to you guys, dependent on your financial situation. I know you guys are stretched thin at the moment, like everybody is. I know we're in uncertain times, to say the least, like everybody is. So I appreciate you guys, making it possible that we can continue to keep this show going and growing. We're trying to get to 20,000 subscribers by the time we get to midterm elections, so we can have the most weight behind our punches, because it looks like we're going to need it. A lot of people were kind of considering midterms in the bag. I'm not saying you still can't, but it looks like the fight's going to get a lot tougher. Looks like the bullshit, kind of the backdoor dealings and the scams that the Republicans are going to try to pull to kind of, either mitigate the losses or to try to steal it outright are, kind of going to have to be looked at, let's just say. So appreciate you guys for joining me. Thank you, Victor. I see you in there, brother. Putin says Russia-Ukraine war is coming to an end. Reuters reporting. Yeah, again, I'm sure that's something that he's trying to get, passed on to all of his, underlings, let's just say, because he had to kind of beg either Donald Trump and Volodymyr Zelensky to have his Victory Day parade, so that they didn't kind of, attack Red Square. They didn't attack Moscow during the parade. So again, a lot of people and a lot of Russians, as we'll see, we get a couple videos here, Preston Stewart talking about it as well. A lot of the Russian mill bloggers, a lot of the Russian people, kind of not liking the fact that Vladimir Putin seemed to have to go with hat in hand to kind of beg Volodymyr Zelensky not to attack them on their Victory Day parade. So not a good look for somebody that's supposed to be winning this war outright, that was supposed to have completed this whole thing in 72 hours. And now here we are, going on to 5 years later. And, this is the position that we're in. I was actually telling my dad before we came on about a clip that I saw where it was a comparison of, Vladimir Putin talking about the Ukrainian leadership, Volodymyr Zelensky, calling them all like drug addicts and neo-Nazis at the beginning of the war. And then you cut to the way that he's forced to speak about Volodymyr Zelensky and the Ukrainian government now, and he's calling him Mr. Zelensky. And, you can tell how it's really changed. So, we'll be taking a look at those clips as well. So make sure you guys hit the like button. I appreciate you guys. Like I said, a little bit more laid back today. Happy Mother's Day. If you're just joining us, I wish I could send flowers out to each and every mom that's watching here today. Unfortunately, I can't, but my love and respect and appreciation goes out to each and every one of you guys. So thank you so much. What do you say we dive into a little bit of the nonsense, a little bit of the craziness as you guys hit that like button, as you guys subscribe. So first of these, just kind of some sycophancy, it's just some outright sycophancy going on as you continue to see. These people are just kind of, there's no bottom to these people. There's no bottom to the depravity. Bo Loden or whatever the fuck his name is here on Twitter, literally trying to say that Trump is aging in reverse. Meanwhile, what picture does he post? He posts a picture where Donald Trump literally can't keep his fucking head up. He doesn't have the strength in his neck to hold his head up and to raise his fist at the same time anymore. And that's literally the picture that these assholes post to be like, oh my God, look at how strong, look at how determined he is. He looks like shit. What are we doing? What are we talking about, people? You know what? Like, again, it's just, I don't know if they understand that they're looking like assholes, and it's just, they know where their bread is buttered, right? They know where the paycheck comes from, and they have to continue to kind of put up with this charade. Hold on, my headphones are dying. It's just, if you're not dealing with one thing, you're dealing with another. You know what I mean? Well, everybody thinks, oh yeah, become a streamer. Streaming's easy. Until you actually hit that go live button, and you have to deal with the issues. Anyway, but yeah, I mean, this is the nonsense that we have to continuously be dealing with here. I mean, to post this picture and to say 79 is the new 39. Trump is aging in reverse. It's like, what? What are we looking at the same shit? You know what I mean? Are we living on the same planet? Look at him. He looks like the fucking hunchback of Notre Dame, for Christ's sakes. He can't keep his head up. Anyway, you know what I mean? It's just, and it never ceases to amaze me, the lengths that these people are willing to go to try to defend this guy, to make him look like a big, strong, alpha, tough man. And it's like, you don't have the ammunition to fire back at us. You just don't. You don't have the pictures to post. You don't have the videos to post. It's as much as he tries to act like a strong guy and a tough guy and to fucking fist pump everywhere. Like, that's what you get out of it. This is the outcome, is that picture. Fucking, it's either the arm or his head. You can't have both things up at the same time. He's only got so much muscle power left. You know what I mean? Look at him. He looks like he's about to fucking keel over in the golf cart. So Anyway, I thought we'd get a kick out of that to kind of, just prove that we're living in two separate realities. And these people, there's always going to be that, what is it, 30 something percent of these assholes that are never going to break. They're never going to, they're never going to be able to recognize how deep into this bullshit, into the cult they actually are. And I'm sure there's a whole, there's probably a whole bunch of these, but not to subject you to that. And here's another one of these moments, these instances as well. A lot of people are kind of sending me this and pointing this out as well, where Trump, in the way that he treats the media, as we've been talking about, the White House Correspondents' Dinner and all these assholes that got all dressed up and we're gonna go be buddy to take pictures and shake hands with these assholes. Meanwhile, the treatment that they get in return, I mean, forget about the lawsuits, forget about the outright just trying to expel the mainstream media and journalists from being able to report on this fucking regime, to have the transparency there. Forget about all that. Just the treatment that they get and the disrespect and the outright bullshit they have to deal with from this asshole is enough that would make you say, you know what, I'm gonna skip that fucking dinner. Okay, never mind that he's a fascist, never mind that he's trying to strip rights from fucking marginalized communities, people of color, trans people, LGBTQIA. He's deporting people to foreign countries. He's having Americans shot in the streets of the United States in broad daylight. It's beyond all that, he's still this is the way that he actually treats people that are asking just really simple questions. Hey, guess what? Americans are struggling with everything right now, from grocery bills to energy bills to babysitters to to gas prices. Obviously, anything that you can think of right now that Americans could possibly be struggling with. Vacations are out of the question. I mean, people right now, it's hard to have a hobby because of how expensive things are right now. Shit is just shot right now. It's shot. I mean, we all recognize that. It's extremely difficult for people right now, especially with the amount of people that go paycheck to paycheck or even less than that. So to ask this asshole the question of why you spending billions, why you spending all of this time, energy, and money on fucking painting the bottom of the reflecting pool, why are you talking about building an Arc de Triomphe? You're talking about spending $1 billion for a bar. Why the fuck? Nobody wants this. Nobody asked for this. Americans are struggling, right? We're dealing with a fucking full-fledged war that's got the Strait of Hormuz closed, that's putting pressure on the entire fucking planet at this point. What are we sitting here dealing with this reflecting pool again? It doesn't make any sense to people, which is a legitimate question. And this is Donald Trump's response. And this is just real quick here, but this is just to show you how ridiculous it is for the media and these assholes to continuously support or normalize this asshole by going to these different events. It's crazy to me. I'll never understand it. But listen to his response here. When again asked a legitimate question, what the fuck are you dealing with this nonsensical bullshit for when we have all of these huge problems going on, when Americans are facing all of the economic issues that they're facing currently? And this is his response.
Mr. President, you are here against the backdrop of the war in Iran. Why focus on all these projects right now?
You know why? Because I want to keep our country beautiful and safe. Beautiful also. This place was a disgusting place. It was Washington Monument, the Lincoln Memorial, and we had a terrible disgust. I don't know, you probably don't see dirt, but I do. And you walk down this pond.
Dirt recognizes dirt, right? Filth recognizes filth. But the guy's an idiot, right? He's just a fucking moron. What do you say? He took the 11 or 12 trucks of trash out of it, he says. What? Come on. Anybody actually buy that shit?
You would have walked down, they'll tell you better than anybody. They had to take 11 or 12 truckloads of garbage out of that lake, out of that water. And sat there for years like that. And that's not what our country is about. Our country is about beauty, cleanliness, safety, great people, not a filthy capital. It's such a stupid question that you asked. We're fixing up the reflection.
Again, we don't have to subject you to any more of that shit, but you can see his kind of the disrespect he has, the pushback that he's going with there. He goes on to, and a lot of people have been bringing up the clip where he kind of sounds like in the background he calls her a bitch. So a lot of people have been kind of pointing to that as well. But I mean, it's a legitimate question. What are we doing here? You spent billions and billions and billions of dollars in this war in Iran. Again, people are struggling to put food on the table. People have had their fucking health care ripped out from underneath them. People are fucking the cancer research funded that you and Doge were people are struggling, and people have had there's effects. These things are having an effect on people. Why are you right now focusing on this bullshit? It's crazy. But he goes off even more than what I showed you. But like I said, on Mother's Day, it's not nice to subject anybody to too much of that asshole. So I apologize for even bringing up that much. My apologies. And again, happy Mother's Day to everybody in case you're just joining us. But again, apparently the Iranians have responded to Donald Trump's 14-point deal there. And from what I've seen so far, it looks like the one thing that Donald Trump has been able or wanted to hang his hat on, which is the enriched uranium, the nuclear aspect of this, is the one thing, or not the one thing, but one of the main aspects of this that the Iranians were and are never going to agree to. So again, we're just going to fly through all of the statements, the information, anything that's been coming out as far as news related to that, so we can all catch up to, we can all be on the same page. We all can catch up to current times, because it happens so fast. It really does. This shit comes in so fast. You never know who's lying. You never know what's real. It's like they love to portray this as like the United States speaking to Iran and negotiating with Iran, when in reality, Donald Trump doesn't know who he's speaking to. He's sending shit to the Pakistanis, the Iranians, who we don't know who exactly is actually leading to or talking to the United States as far as the negotiations, are sending their shit to the Pakistanis, which is then relaying it to the. It's like it's such a fucking discombobulated mess at this point. But let me throw this on the screen, because this was, I believe, before the announcement came out. This was Fox News talking about a bold warning issued by the Iranians, which is, again, should have told Fox News that Donald Trump probably wasn't going to get like the best deal out of this, probably wasn't going to get these people coming to the negotiating table and saying, you know what, we agree to all of the things that Donald Trump wants us to, much like the rhetoric and the statements from the Iranians have been saying the entire time, like basically giving a big middle finger to Donald Trump and his entire administration. Meanwhile, Donald Trump's like, you know what, we're really close. We're really close to a peace talk. We're really close to having a peace deal here. And the Iranians on the other side are just like, again, flipping them the bird, fucking, throwing shit at them, spitting on them and shit. And Donald's like, nope, we're really close. We're really close. But again, this is Fox News talking about the response from the Iranians, basically the strong rhetoric that should have let them know that there wasn't going to be a deal agreed to. Let's just say, put this on the screen. Check this out.
The Trump administration is still waiting for an official response from Iran to its latest proposal as the regime threatens waging new warfare.
This as Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff meet with Qatar's Prime Minister.
Chief Foreign Correspondent Trey Yanks live in Tel Aviv with the very latest. Trey.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. A busy day across the Middle East. Another report of a cargo ship hit off the coast of Qatar this morning. We know an unidentified projectile hit the vessel 23 nautical miles northeast of Doha, that according to the UK Maritime Agency. The explosion caused a small fire that is now under control, according to reports. The incident highlights the latest in a series of events in the Persian Gulf and Strait of Hormuz that shows Iran is testing the fragile ceasefire.
Listen.
From our perspective, a naval blockade is considered a military act. A military act receives a military response. Let them understand this. From now on, they should assign several additional escorts to their destroyers so that if one of them starts sinking, they can at least rescue and evacuate their naval forces.
So again, a direct threat there from one of the members of the Iranian parliament, basically saying that the United States, if they're going to continue the blockade, is going to get a military response in retaliation. And in fact, if they're going to continue to send their warships into the strait, they better in fact send a bunch along with them in case one of them gets sunk, yada, yada, yada. You can pick up you can be able to pick up the survivors. But that's not telling me, okay, we're coming to the table to sign this deal. That's not telling me we're going to agree to all of the points that Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu want us to agree to. That's not saying we're going to open up the Strait of Hormuz. Like, that's not saying that the war is over anytime soon. You know what I mean? That's just, again, it's kind of been this through line the entire time of just straight defiance by the Iranian side, and whether that's kind of dumb defiance or, again, that's, living within reality and using the power that Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu had kind of given them by enacting this war and not mitigating the response of the Iranians taking over the Strait of Hormuz. It remains to be seen. But, this was prior to the deal or the response there from the Iranians. And then this was afterwards. This is obviously same show, same people talking about the response by the Iranians to the latest U.S. proposal. So again, I'll just throw this on the screen and just check out the difference in tone, the difference in way they're speaking about this. And again, this is same show, same people talking about the same thing, just now out with the Iranian response.
Negotiation and appeal to Iran.
Yeah, guys, good morning. Reports indicate that Iran has responded to the U.S. peace proposal to end the war, giving their response to Pakistani mediators. Now, initial reports in Iranian state media indicate their response focuses on ending the war and ensuring security in the Strait of Hormuz. There is no mention of Iran's nuclear program, a key agenda item for the Trump administration.
No mention of the nuclear program. Isn't that strange? Because that's something that Donald Trump had been telling us has already been agreed upon. Not only did they send him 1,000 different faxes and memos and emails and phone calls and text messages saying that they're willing to capitulate, their economy is in such tatters, their leadership has been eradicated, the military's gone, we're ready to surrender, as per Donald Trump would love to have you believe. But now that's not seemingly what we're getting. They're not talking about the nuclear deal whatsoever. And again, I think I have this here from the Hormuz letter that kind of gives us a little more detail here. This says right here, 2 hours ago, Iran has formally submitted its final response to the U.S. proposal via Pakistan, with the negotiations focused solely on ending the war per IRNA. Nuclear is completely off the table, with Iran having drawn that line in April when Tehran said nuclear issues could only be addressed in a separate agreement after the war ends. Trump has insisted the war will not end without a nuclear deal, threatening Iran Thursday even with nuclear holocaust. One big blow coming out of Iran, which we talked about on the show, if Iran refuses to sign this current proposal. So remains to be seen basically what the U.S. response is going to be to the response by the Iranians to their proposal. I'm sure Donald Trump is not going to take it kindly. His threats of escalation, we're going to see if there's, any kind of, truth behind those, or if, again, they're going to see what kind of other backdoor dealings in kind of ways Donald Trump could tackle out that he could pull up with. But this says also the IRGC Navy has just warned that any further aggression against Iranian oil tankers or commercial vessels will result in heavy assault on one of the American centers in the region and U.S. naval ships. So again, should tell you everything you need to know as for, like, is the war ended? Did they come to some peace agreement? That's not what we're getting by this. This also says Iran's deputy foreign minister has directly warned the UK and France over their warship deployments to the Strait of Hormuz, saying any European naval presence will be met with immediate decisive response, and calling the deployment of destroyers under the pretext of, quote, protecting shipping in escalation of the crisis. The UK has just deployed HMS Dragon and a Type 45 destroyer to the Middle East for potential multinational mission led by the UK and France. France moved its Charles de Gaulle aircraft carrier into the Red Sea this week, positioning for the same operation. The European mission is conditional on a ceasefire that Iran's formal response to the U.S. proposal today made no concessions towards. It goes on here. Let's just see if there's anything else reported. This is the Netanyahu 60 Minutes. Where did I have that? Yeah, let's play that real quick, because this is Netanyahu basically throwing Donald Trump right onto the goddamn bus, right? A lot of people I've seen already reacting to this, kind of like, just shocked that he would be so blatant, be so blunt as to what Donald Trump did or didn't say, or what he wanted to do or what not to do. And this is posted by Clash Report. It says, the war with Iran is not over because there is still enriched uranium that has to be taken out. There are still enriched sites that need to be dismantled. There are still proxies that Iran supports and ballistic missiles that they want to produce. He says, we degraded a lot of it, but there is work to be done. Again, directly flying in the face of everything that you've been told by our Pentagon, Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, and the rest of them about the efficacy of the United States military and their strikes. Again, we continue to say the eradication of the Iranian military, the Air Force, the Navy, how many targets they've hit, the leadership that has been taken out. Basically, they have no more power left. Well, this is kind of, again, going, telling everybody that they have failed basically in every single one of their goals and missions that they had stated from the onset of this. But this is Benjamin Netanyahu throwing Trump under the bus, basically saying that Trump says he wants to go boots on the ground. He wants to go into Iran to get the enriched uranium. Check this out.
Is the war with Iran over? And if it isn't, who will decide when it is?
I think it accomplished a great deal, but it's not over because there's still nuclear material, enriched uranium that has to be taken out of Iran. There's still enrichment sites that have to be dismantled. There's still proxies.
That's crazy because, again, as we were told per Operation Midnight Hammer, those sites had been, again, dismantled. They had been obliterated. They were no longer. It was going to be generations before the Iranians could even contemplate using those sites again or rebuilding those sites or building new sites, whatever the fuck that they were saying. Again, everything that we've been told is a lie. Everything that we've been told is propaganda, is for a purpose, has been constructed behind the scenes, to give them a script, to give us a script, to get something, to give us something to believe. Meanwhile, they now have to flip that entire script like we've seen 1,000 different times right now and tell us that, no, Operation Midnight Hammer wasn't the success that we thought it was. And basically we had to start a whole new war, a hot war, because it was such a failure. And then now this deep into this hot war, we still haven't been able to achieve that objective of getting to some agreement with the Iranians to hand over the enriched uranium or to be militarily capable of going in ourselves and getting that enriched uranium. None of that seems to happen. We can't even open the fucking strait. Never mind put boots on and go fucking extract enriched uranium out of the ground. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy talk at this point. But he goes on here to talk about how Donald Trump basically says he wants to. He wants to, and told Benjamin Netanyahu that he wants to go into Iran to get this uranium. Check this out.
Reports, there are ballistic missiles that they still want to produce. Now, we've degraded a lot of it, but all of that is still there, and there's work to be done.
How do you envision the highly enriched uranium will be removed from Iran?
You go in and you take it out.
With what? Special forces from Israel, special forces from the United States?
Well, I'm not going to talk about military means, but what President Trump has said to me, I want to go in there. And I think it can be done physically. That's not the problem. If you have an agreement.
What President Trump said to me, I want to go in there, meaning boots on the ground, U.S. military in conjunction with the IDF, go into Iran, occupy Iran, dig out the enriched uranium, take over their oil supply. You can guarantee that there's a lot more involved if, in fact, they do get to that point, that they will be able to utilize or try to utilize to their best benefit while they have the troops in the fucking area, while they have the necessary resources to do whatever bad acts they want to, to accomplish there. But there's where he says that Donald Trump wants to. He told him he wants to. Not that it's necessary, not that it's like a need, not that it's like a national security issue for the United States, that he just wants to go in there. He wants to have this hot war with boots on the ground.
And you go in and you take it out. Why not? That's the best way.
What if there isn't an agreement? Can it be taken out by force?
Well, you're going to ask me these questions. I'm going to dodge them because I'm not going to talk about our military possibilities, plans, or anything of the kind.
And I'm just trying to get at how long is it going to take to achieve that aim?
I'm not going to give a timetable to it, but I'm going to say that's a terrifically important mission.
All right. So again, already weeks past the original time frame, the original timetable that they gave us, now still unable to give any direct answers, any direct off ramp, any direct fucking, plans for military action, any plans for negotiations to go forward. None of that seems to be in place. And this is how, we're this deep into this war. That's why everybody loves to say, when we talked about Donald Trump bringing up Vietnam or Iraq or Afghanistan and how long we were eventually there, at some point we were only there for 50, 60, 70 days, right? As I continue to tell you guys, that's why this is how it happens. It's 70 days and you think you're on the brink of having something. Nope. Next thing you know, you escalate. Next thing you know, it's further on down the line that everybody's pushing this war and when we could possibly see the end of it. Next thing you know, it's 2 years. Next thing you know, it's 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years later. And we've spent trillions and trillions of dollars and hundreds of thousands of people. This is how it starts. You know what I mean? So as much as they love to bring up, we've only been there 60 days, 70 days. We were only everywhere 60 or 70 days. We were only in World War II 60 or 70 days at one point. We were only in Vietnam for 60 or 70 days at some point. And then, in fact, those days got longer. And those, it kept building up and building up, both in money spent, in death, and sacrifice. That's how it fucking happens. But a lot of people surprised to kind of see that Netanyahu was so blunt in describing what Donald Trump said to him as per what he wants to see happen. Which is, again, the escalation of this war, boots on the ground, going into Iran, occupying Iran, taking over its oil, digging up the enriched uranium themselves. And who knows where the hell you go from there. But, you can hear it there from the horse's mouth, the horse's ass, if you will, from Netanyahu. But, yeah, a lot of people bringing that one up as well. What do you say we switch gears here for a minute, though? Because there's a couple more of these Lego bangers that I wanted to get into. A lot of people loving these for a good reason, I will say. I think it's been pretty well documented as to the accuracy. That's not it. Sorry to put him on your screen again. This is it, though. And there's a few of these that I wanted to go through. Your browser's lost connection. God damn it. Fucking StreamYard. All right, let's go back. Let's go back. We'll do this over. StreamYard's having heart attacks today, so I got to be nice. I got to play nice with StreamYard. All right, let me go back. Put this on the screen. My apologies. And we back at it. All right. So this one is the latest from Persia Boy. And I think this has more of a K-pop vibe, as it says. K-pop vibes hitting the Lego bricks hard. K-pop is the Korean pop, if I'm not mistaken. Sorry, not a huge fan myself, not a connoisseur, if you will. But I think this is kind of the switching gears a bit of the Persia Boy, now trying to implement a little bit of different music, different vibes into these videos, if you will. And this is Never Trump No More. So what do you say we just dive into these videos? Like I said, I think there's about 2 or 3 of them that I had here pulled up to get into. What do you see what trouble we can get into to watching these? I appreciate it. What'd you say? That's correct? I appreciate you. Thank you, Rox. All right, let's get into it. You know what I should do, though? Would be great. A lot of the time, if you guys are ever trying to start a podcast or a live stream and you want to like show a video and stuff, what is kind of fantastically helpful is taking the mute off, is putting the sound on. That'll help too. All right, let's go.
JD Vance, what happened to you?
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention it's going after JD Vance a lot, from what I heard too, as well. So we can lean into that.
Never Trump. What happened to JD Vance? You called him Hitler, now you're holding his hand.
What happened to JD Vance? You called him Hitler, now you're holding his hand. God damn, already coming in hot. Yeah, I'm sure there's probably some K-pop fans in there. I'm not hip to it, you know what I mean? So I kind of have to guess my way around it. But JD Vance called him Hitler, now you're holding his hand. Right off the bat with a banger, with a bar. Let's go.
From I can't stomach him to VP so fast. 너는 배신자야 가면을 벗어 이제. What a shameful past. 2016 you were loud, I'm a Never Trump guy. Said he was dangerous, said he watched the nation die. I never liked him, that was your whole vibe. Now you're standing right beside him, living the lie. You called him America's Hitler in your private text. Cultural heroin, morally reprehensible, no respect. Said he was noxious, a really bad man. Now you're number 2, tell me what's the master plan? From the couch to the White House with a crazy glow up. But we remember every word.
Is this what K-pop sounds like? Is this K-pop? I don't even know. Do they flow like this? They got raps like this? They got bars like this in K-pop? Shit.
Let it blow up. You flip so fast when the power came near. From calling him Hitler, standing right here. America talks about truth and freedom every day, but their leaders switch sides and just betray. 말을 잡는 척하면서 네가 악마가 됐어. Loyalty means nothing when you chase the star. Never Trump, never Trump. Look at you now. From America's Hitler to the second in line. Wow. JD Vance.
From America's Hitler to the second in line. Going after JD Vance hard in this one. I'm surprised. I don't know. I'm surprised I haven't seen a lot more couches, although he is on a golden throne. I'd call that more of a love seat, though. Not so much of a couch. So I'm just saying, if anything, Persia Boy, we could implement more couches with JD Vance. Get in touch with Amanda, Cats on a Couch, on Instagram. She'll be able to walk you through the whole thing. She'll be great for it.
JD Vance, biggest switch of kings. Soldier soul for the throne and the blade. Sacred defense. Persia Boy on the beat. We see through the light. Never Trump.
Oh, there you go. There's the burning couch in the background. I knew it, unless I missed it. Like I said, there's so much to kind of take in with these videos. Maybe I just overlooked the couches that they had in there before. But now they get the flaming couch behind them. I see it. I see you, Persia Boy. I see you.
No more.
All right, so again, that one was a good one. That was Persia Boy going after JD Vance. Seemed to be the focal point on that one as well. Oops, sorry, my bad. And then there's a couple more of these. This one is by Aquan, excuse me if I'm mispronouncing the studio or the account that puts these out, but it says, Iran said, quote, "Wake up America," and America just responded. Let's see what this one is. Another insane AI Lego track. Let me see what trouble we can get into here. Here's another one.
Yeah. We heard every word. Across the ocean, across the fire, across the lies.
All right. Seems like a different vibe right off the bat. Kind of feeling it.
This ain't government to government. This is worker to worker. Family to family. Human
and again, it does seem like a lot more of these are going after kind of the viewpoint of the American working class, you know, the lower class citizens of this country, the middle and lower class citizens of this country, and kind of like, the plight that we have, the problems that we have with what we're facing, and trying to, again, put food on the table and pay the bills, again, working against the billionaire class that has been stomping on our fucking freedoms and kind of holding us down for so long. So a lot more of these videos kind of touching on that, which is, again, a little bit why more and more people seem to be, I don't know, like relating to them, let's just say.
human.
A lot of us broke, but the camera still flash. Whole country stressed while the billionaires laugh. Everybody fighting, nobody asking why. Young men getting buried while old men decide. You see the same.
Young men getting buried while old men decide, right? We've already heard that, the people are broke. The billionaires, they basically fucking are in charge of everything. The white fucking men that laugh all the way to the bank while the young class die, while the young people die.
We see the same games, different language, same pressure, same pain. Don't hate your people, that story getting old. Most of us just cold, overworked and controlled.
Man, this place tied. People barely hanging on. Half the country, one emergency from everything gone. Medical bills hitting families collapse. People choosing between rent and asthma attacks.
People choosing between rent and asthma attacks. Now tell me that isn't based in fucking fact. Tell me that isn't based in truth, in reality in this country, right? People choosing between, food on the table, paying rent, or again, paying their medical bills, paying for their prescriptions, paying for the things that they need to live, paying for their insulin, right? Whatever it may be. That's why these videos resonate so greatly with people. That's why there's so many people that feel like the connection to these videos. And again, I know a lot of them are put out by different groups and organizations and media stations and whatever the hell, but they all kind of touch on the same thing: the grievances, the problems here in this country. Meanwhile, we're going all over the world creating problems for everybody else, but we can't focus upon the issues that we face here in this country.
All towns empty, factories shut down, main streets dead while luxury towers touch clouds. Every year groceries higher than before, but they keep telling us the economy strong for who? Not the dude driving Uber all night, not the waitress crying in the kitchen every night, not the veteran.
Not the waitress crying in the kitchen every night. And the line before that was about the Uber driver. So again, touching kind of on all bases here.
Sitting homeless at the light, still hearing explosions every time he closes his eyes in the news.
Man, they profit off division, keep everybody angry so nobody pays attention. Race against race, left against right, neighbor against neighbor every single night. Meanwhile, lobby money move through Washington fast. Defense companies celebrate every bomb blast. Politicians screaming freedom on TV screens, then sending poor kids overseas for things they never seen. A lot of us broke, but the camera still flash. Whole country stressed by the billionaires laugh. Everybody fighting, nobody asking why. Young men getting buried while old men decide. You see the same fear, we see the same games, different language, same pressure, same pain. We don't hate your people, that story getting old. Most of us just cold, overworked, and control. Social media got people losing their minds. Algorithms feeding anger 24/7 online. Truth don't matter if the headlines spread fear. That's how they keep the population easier to steer. And trust me, regular Americans see it now. See the corruption, see the fake smile. See corporations buying laws behind closed doors, while regular workers can't even afford stores. Kids graduating already trapped in debt. Parents burning out from non-stop stress. Everybody anxious, everybody exhausted. Whole generation feeling mentally boxed in. So when you say wake up, yeah, some of us did. We started asking questions they never wanted asked. Like why every crisis somehow make rich people richer? Why every war need another shipment?
God damn. I mean, some of them are stronger, some of them are more powerful than others, I gotta say. You know what I mean? That one kind of, really touching on all of the things that Americans kind of feeling in this country at this point in time. I know not every aspect, but, a lot of what people are dealing with. So, that again, that's why a lot of these continue to resonate. A lot of these continue to kind of strike home with people. Here's another one right straight from, I think it's from the same, Aquan here. New Lego soundtrack. This one will make you cry. I'm not sure what this is about, but again, wanted to listen to it with you guys. Let's see if we can get into it here. Let's see what this is touching base on.
America, listen. This is not your enemy speaking. We are the people your government spent 50 years teaching you to fear. Before the bombs, before the sanctions, before the body bags, we just want you to hear what they buried.
Men who sent your sons to die never sent their own.
Wow. Men who sent your sons to die never send their own.
Sign the war bills, never touched a war zone. Like he cashed a check, your kid came home broken. Those who speak for you don't speak for you. They speak for the ones who own.
Yeah, in 2003 they told you Saddam had weapons. Colin Powell stood at the UN and lied. 4,000 Americans died looking for nothing, and Halliburton got no bid contracts on the side. Dick Cheney's old company, $6 billion in Iraq. That's not coincidence, that's cause and effect. One F-35 cost $80 million. Your whole school district's broken, your teachers in debt. Out of pocket for paper, for pencils, for chalk. While Northrop and Boeing post record profits in the fall. We watched from Baghdad, from Tehran, from Kabul, as your flag was used for things you never chose. 17 veterans a day take their own lives. 35,000.
I just first and foremost, how the fuck is these AI Lego videos making better music than musicians are making at this point? Like, how the fuck is that possible?
Sleep outside in the cold. The men who sit them never lose a night of sleep. They count their dividends while the body count grows.
The men who sent your sons to die never sent their own. The hands that signed the war bills never touched the war zone. Like he cashed the check, your kid came home broken. Those who speak for you don't speak for you, they speak.
Look at the Halliburton in the background. I've already heard at least 3 or 4 different defense contractors that have been clearly associated with lying to the American public and in the whole 9 yards. So again, rooted in fact.
For the ones who own it.
We are not your enemy. We need you to hear that. The man in Sinai didn't vote for your bombs. The woman in Lagos didn't ask for your sanctions. The same machine that dropped bombs on our children canceled your pension and raised your insulin costs. Real wages in America flat since 1971. Productivity doubled. Your paycheck did not. 1.7
Productivity doubled. Your paycheck did not.
$1 trillion in student debt. Congress got a raise while the interest grew. The Gulf of Tonkin didn't happen the way they told you. The documents are declassified. Go read it yourself. They lied you into Vietnam. They lied you into Iraq. And here we stand, divided by a wall they built. We are not your enemy.
They are. Men who sent your sons to die. Their own. The hands that signed the war bills never touched the war zone. Like he cashed the check.
Lockheed. Wow, that one was a good one. That was a good one. God damn. I wish there was more of those, and I'm sure there are, but Jesus Christ. I mean, a lot of these, like I said, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but, the right loves to continue to push that as like propaganda. Look at the left propping up this propaganda. Like, where are the fucking lies? You know what I mean? Typically, propaganda will exaggerate, will create shit out of thin air. They're lies. That's the whole point, to get you to believe a certain agenda. Like, where are the lies? That's what I continue to ask anybody that says it's propaganda, or anybody that says, hey, you're propping up the Iranian regime. How is this not just enlightening everybody onto how much the world knows about the problems that we face here, yet our own government doesn't do anything to act to fix those fucking problems, right? And not only not to fix those problems, but is actively making those problems exponentially worse for us. Exponentially more difficult to lead a fucking life in this country right now. Everybody else in the world seems to know it. The fucking Lego people in Iran seem to know it. But this government doesn't act or do anything to recognize the problems that that have been had in the government, and the problems that we face now here in this fucking country. So those 3 were great. Those 3 were great, I gotta say. Now, heading into a little bit of stupidity here after that. Switching gears, here's somebody we haven't talked to in a little bit. I don't know if this guy is just coming back out of rehab. I don't know if he's just kind of coming back out of the bank after cashing his $620 million check from the company that got the defense contract by the Pentagon. But yeah, you know who we're talking about. Not that, this guy right here. Schmon Jr., Coke Jr., back at it. And he's got some dumbass takes here that I'd love to call out for a second before we dive into the Russia's Victory Day parade, and basically the fact that Vladimir Putin had to ask for permission, had to come hat in hand for permission from Volodymyr Zelensky to please let me get my parade to happen. Please don't lob any missiles or drones into my parade to make me look like a complete and total asshole. So we'll be getting into that in just a second. But I wanted to call out a little bit of this schmuck, considering he's now putting his face back in front of the camera. I haven't seen this guy in a while. I got to say, he's kind of been doing a lot of work behind the scenes to make sure that his Pentagon contracts are going well, more than he's making sure that his podcast is going well. But let's just see if there's any bullshit here I can call out right off the jump. Hit that like button, guys. I'm Boston Brian. This is Blunt Politics. I really do appreciate you guys. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, whether you're watching live or if you're watching this afterwards. Thank you guys so much. Really do appreciate it. Hope you have the most fantastic day that you all deserve out there. Happy Mother's Day, and let's get into this idiot.
Hey guys, welcome to another huge.
Hey guys, look at another huge. Just fucking right up. Oh my God, I forgot what a moron this kid was. I really did. It's been a while. It did. We used to watch. Oh, shut up. Shut up. You speak when you're fucking spoken to, you son of a bitch. But it's been a while since we had to listen to any of this kid's fucking bullshit, because I think the last time that I pointed out his channel, I was literally just showing you that he's got 0 videos about the war. And here, check this out. Where are we right now? We're at 626. Somebody remember that. Somebody remember that timestamp, because look at his page. I'll show you guys his page, right? Tell me if you guys can see anywhere that we're involved in a war. You know what I mean? What is telling you here? We're going back 2 months. So I'll keep it on this page, but these videos are all 2 months and beyond. Where can you tell me that we're in a war? Where can you see that his father, the president of the United States, has engaged in and acted a war on behalf of Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu? You think that'd be like, I don't know, you think that'd be something that he'd cover, having a political podcast, again, being the son of the president of the United States? I'm just saying, I don't know. Anywhere that you can see? No, nothing that would kind of tell you that we're in a war? Nothing. Like, that's the last time I brought up his channel, was to show you that he's just not been covering it. So let's see if we can jump back into this real quick. That's kind of the extent of his war coverage that he's been doing. Like again, if he's not talking about it, the people in his audience won't know about it. Again, I found that to be quite comical. All right, let's dive into it.
Of Triggered. I hope everyone is doing well today. Big show, because if you want to understand the moment we're in, it really comes down to one very simple question.
Yeah.
Who is the left's system actually protecting? Is it protecting American citizens? Is it protecting the family trying to get on a plane, the parent trying to keep their kids safe online, the police officer trying to get violent criminals off the street?
Yes.
Honestly, is it the taxpayer who's sick of getting robbed by people who hate this country?
I'm sorry, getting robbed. Is it the taxpayer sick of getting robbed by people who hate this country? You mean people that kind of, steal the word patriot for their own agenda, for their own purposes? Meanwhile, it has absolutely no meaning whatsoever in love for this country. Kind of like the way you guys have stolen the word freedom. Meanwhile, he's talking about taxpayer money, which is funny, considering that this asshole again is involved with the $620 million contract awarded to a company that he's backing. Again, drone companies that him and Eric are involved in. You're telling me there's nobody else in this country that is brighter, smarter, more capable, that has better usage of drones, knowledge of drones? No companies out there that could have done any better? This was the best possible choice that our Pentagon could make, was a Don Jr. backed company for $620 million, and then another $24 or $27 million contract. Excuse me, I'm forgetting the exact price, but it's somewhere in that range that Eric was involved in, that we just talked about last week or the week before. So again, you're really going to sit here and talk about taxpayer funds as your dad's going to paint, the reflecting pool blue for millions of dollars. He's going to paint the Eisenhower building for millions of dollars. He's going to build an Arc de Triomphe for millions of dollars, and he's building $1 billion ballroom, not to mention that he's suing his own country that he's now presiding over for $10 billion. You know what I mean? So you really want to go down this road of like taxpayers being pissed off at people that hate this country? Because it seems like the people that are not following the Constitution, the people that are not following the laws, the rules, the regulations that were fucking this society was built upon are the people that hate this country. The people now actively making this country worse, right? Degrading the economy, degrading the society, pitting people against each other, making racism, bigotry, and hatred mainstream again, making that okay. Those are the people that actively hate this country, right? The people that steal the flag and kind of shit all over it, putting Donald Trump on velociraptors with AK fucking 47s and shit. Those are the people that hate the country, okay? So, again, silliness for him to sit here and talk about people that hate the country and taxpayer money, considering this is the most fraudulent, the most corrupt administration that any country has ever seen in any lifetime, right? I'm sure there's some fucking foreign entities, some foreign countries in which they've probably stolen more or utilized more of the nation's money. But as far as like first world, as far as like, you know, within our lifetimes, you know, this is about as bad as it gets here in the United States, about as blatant as it gets here in the United States too.
Or is it simply protecting the criminals, the illegal alien, the cartels, the radical left-wing activist, the bureaucrats, the NGOs?
He's so stupid.
Ultimately,
yes, the radical left wing is protecting the radical left wing. Like, fucking this guy, he thinks he's so profound too. Like, he thinks he's like hitting on a point here where it's really going to be like something that's going to like really going to rattle the cages of all the left.
Their fundraising mechanism, the media narrative, because Democrats are once again going on the record to make it very, very clear that they want to take back power so they can put.
Isn't that the fucking purpose of politics? I'm just throwing that out there. I'm just saying, when you're the party that's not in power, isn't that the clear objective? Isn't that the clearly stated goal of said party of opposition, is to get back in power, to accrue, to gain more and the most power possible? So he's like trying to throw it back, and it's like, these fucking people, all they want is they want power. Like, yes, we're seeing what's happening to our country right now. We're seeing everything that we warned anybody that voted for Trump what was going to happen, that we're now seeing is actively happening. So we want to make sure that that doesn't continue to happen. So yes, we'd like to take back as much power as humanly possible, both the House, the Senate, presidency, all of that. We want that back. We want it, Supreme Court, all of it, not all of it.
They can put illegal aliens first instead of you. So we're going to get into all of that today. Guys, make sure you're liking.
Guys. And then he goes into his little, his ads, which I'll skip, but just another minute of this asshole. What I really wanted to call out was the fact that he brought up, taxpayer funds and a corrupt regime and people that hate this country. I just found that to be completely fucking ironic that he brought that up.
Counterterrorism strategy. And it's exactly the kind of thing Washington spent years pretending was too complicated to say out loud. The threats, guys, are not mysterious at all. Cartels are a threat. They have been for a long time. Foreign terrorist organizations are a threat.
You know it's good for that too, and we don't have to subject you to anymore. You know it's really good for like threats and people that hate us all over the world is like enacting all of these wars. That should really quell all of the fucking hate that's going on around the world for America and what the government is doing right now. That should really help. You know, people would be like, you know what, we really did hate the United States for all the shit that they were pulling all over the world, but now that they started these fucking war crimes, now that they started killing girls and hitting missiles into girls' schools in Iran, and they're doing double taps on Venezuelan fishing boats. Like, you know what? I really don't hate them anymore. I really, they seem a lot better to me. Like, fucking these people, it's crazy. The fact that he doesn't think that he's inviting attacks, the fact that he doesn't think he's inviting, anger towards the United States because of, our threats to go after Greenland, Donald Trump's continued threats to take over Cuba, which he's still talking about every single day. Obviously what we've done in Iran, obviously what we enacted in Venezuela, like the whole fucking system there is kind of built on making people pissed at us. Like people and Americans, Americans abroad right now have a big target painted on their back. As soon as somebody, kind of paints them as being American. It's either like, hey, what the fuck's going on back home? Why did you guys vote for Donald Trump? Or some sort of question as to the craziness now being fucking thrust upon us by this administration. Really. And then not to mention the American military. Obviously, like we've seen all throughout the Middle East, having a huge target painted on their backs because of what Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu have done, right? So again, multiple ways in which they're making our country less safe by enacting these wars, less safe by, demeaning and degrading our partnerships with NATO, obviously with the European Union. It's just that they're making us less safe. We're getting less people working with us. We're getting less countries wanting to and willing to work with the United States and partner with the United States because of fear of, whatever erratic behavior Donald Trump is capable of. So it is kind of crazy. But here is, we'll go on to Don Jr.'s best friend. We'll go on to his bed buddy here, bed buddy Benny Johnson, Kremlin Benny, because Benny Johnson's back at it right now. I don't know if he's back receiving Kremlin funds. I'm not sure what's actually taking place. It's the first video I've seen in a little bit from Benny where he's actually talking about Russia. So I don't know if he thinks like enough time has passed where people forget about his little tenant media ordeal. Here, let me see. We'll refresh everybody's memory on this one. You guys remember Benny Johnson's involvement in this. Benny Johnson, tenant media. Just real quick, I'll go over this. Well-known right-wing influencers duped. This one says about the whole thing, so we'll just go over this one. You guys remember this? Okay, just refresh everybody's memory in case you're not, up to speed. Well-known right-wing influencers duped to work for covert Russian U.S. prosecutors say. Covert Russian operation, U.S. prosecutors say. Benny Johnson was one of these idiots wrapped up in this. Millions of followers worldwide. They have been major players in right-wing political discourse since Trump was president, and they worked unknowingly for a company that was a front for a Russian influence operation. Again, unknowingly is doing a lot of fucking heavy lifting in this. An indictment filed Wednesday alleges a media company linked to 6 conservative influencers. Well-known, Tim Pool, Dave Rubin, Benny Johnson, was secretly funded by Russian state media employees to churn out English language videos that were, quote, often consistent with the Kremlin's interest in amplifying U.S. domestic divisions in order to weaken U.S. opposition to Russian interest like its war in Ukraine. So again, no matter which way you try to paint this, you're either fucking complicit or you're ignorant, okay? Right? You're either complicit or you're ignorant. You're either complicit because you knew exactly what the fuck was going on, or you're an ignorant, stupid piece of shit because you couldn't see the forest through the trees. You couldn't see with all of the storytelling, with all of the, the details that were left out, never meeting the guy, never being able to talk to a specific person, not getting any real answers about this, the amount of money that they were being paid for basically doing the same thing that they had already been doing, didn't raise any red flags. So you'd have to be a moron, really, not to be like, something fucking stinks here. Maybe we should look into this, which none of them really did. So you're either complicit or you're a moron in this case right here. But again, on the flip side, if you didn't know anything about it and the Russians themselves found value in what you were saying, regardless of what they told you to say, right? Even if they didn't have to give you a script, even if what the fucking, the Kremlin didn't have to say, hey, say these talking points or do this, just you on your own was enough for the Kremlin to be like, hey, we like what he's saying, so let's give him shitloads of money in order to continue saying that so we can continue to prop up his videos there. So again, that should show you something, should tell you something about these people in general. If Tim Pool, Dave Rubin, and Benny Johnson just happen to catch the eye of some people at the Kremlin to be like, hey, we could utilize their bullshit. We could utilize, the lies that they're telling their audience because it's on our behalf anyway. So either way, they're complicit or they're ignorant, they're stupid. And again, they're all doing the bidding of the Russians, whether they were paid to or not. Again, the Russians don't typically work with people unless it's to their benefit, right? Unless they're already saying shit that is beneficial to the Russian propaganda, beneficial to the Russian war in general. So Benny Johnson getting duped. How much did he get in this? Oh, shit. Hold on. I want to see here. I don't know if they tell you the amount. I think it was like, let's see, a Russian state media company of funneling nearly $10 million to a Tennessee-based content creation company for Russia-friendly content named Tenant Media. And I'm just curious if it goes on here to state how much they were getting paid each. Here it goes right here. So the indictment shows some of the influencers were paid handsomely for their work. One unidentified influencer's contract included a $400,000 monthly fee, a $100,000 signing bonus, and an additional performance bonus. And again, whether that's Tim Pool, I forget which amount was linked to which creator at this point, but I know they were all getting pretty substantial sums of money. to either say pro-Kremlin shit or to just say the already pro-Kremlin shit that they were talking about in general. So just to kind of refresh everybody's memory on who Benny Johnson was, here he is again, and this is titled, Trump announces Russia and Ukraine war is over. Massive ceasefire deal changes the world. Again, I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. In the fact that he doesn't realize that he's basically saying Vladimir Putin had to come hat in hand with permission, asking permission of Volodymyr Zelensky to be able to hold this Victory Day parade. It's kind of slipping by the cracks on this one. So I just want to see what he's talking about here, what propaganda he's trying to portray as far as the war being over, the brutal Russian invasion of Ukraine being over. Let's check this out.
A lot can happen in 24 hours. Over the last 24 hours in this country, you've had FBI raids and resignations of top Democrats. You've had Supreme Court rulings that upend all of the electoral math for the midterms. Now Republicans are favored. Political revolutions in the UK that shatter the two-party system. You've had insurrections in the Tennessee state capitol that have led to arrests.
Insurrections in the Tennessee, these fucking snowflakes, bro. These fucking baby bird bitch snowflakes, right? So what we saw on January 6th, guys, what you guys witnessed with your own eyes on TV, live, on camera, for the whole world to see, was not an insurrection. Not an insurrection. It was a friendly fact-finding mission, a peaceful tour through the Capitol. It was anything other than, violent or an insurrection. Meanwhile, take a look at any of these other things that they're pointing to that Democrats are responsible for, again, protests, sit-ins, taking over Capitol buildings to kind of get their point across non-violently, right? And all of those are insurrections. They're such pussy-ass bitches, these people.
And you've even had the UFO files dropped on our plate this morning. Barely even a blip because there's so much going on.
Oh, so you're basically admitting the distraction attempt by the Trump administration to release this UFO bullshit, and hopefully a lot of people start talking about that. They won't notice what they're paying for gas, right? They won't notice how much the groceries are costing at this point. They won't notice that we have absolutely no deal or off-ramp here in the war with Iran. They won't notice any of that shit if we can just pump out the UFO, right? They won't talk about Epstein. They won't talk about anything else. That's what they'll be talking about. And Benny Johnson here already having to admit that didn't really work.
It's a virus. What's that going to turn into? Who knows? Who the hell cares?
That's something we haven't touched on either here. There's fucking so much shit going on. Haven't even had time to think about touching on the hantavirus, whatever the hell you call it. Probably because my solution would have been really short and sweet, but we won't go there.
Everybody asked for the arrest of Bill Gates and Dr. Fauci. That's all that matters in life, except for, this. Because we couldn't just get through a Friday without one more massive news dump. And here it is, President Trump announced.
And I can't believe that I didn't show this on the show earlier. When we were talking about this the other day, we brought this up. We showed Volodymyr Zelensky's statement about this, so I did kind of bring up the right piece as opposed to this one. But the fact that this is what it says here, listen, I'm going to read this to you. This is Trump. I am pleased to announce that there will be a 3-day ceasefire, May 9th, 10th, and 11th, in the war between Russia and Ukraine. The celebration in Russia is for Victory Day, but likewise in Ukraine because they were also a big part of the factor of World War II. This ceasefire will include a suspension of all kinetic activity, also a prison swap of 1,000 prisoners from each country. This request was made directly by me, and I very much appreciate its agreement by President Vladimir Putin and President Volodymyr Zelensky. Hopefully, it is the beginning of the end of the very long, deadly, and hard-fought war. Talks are continuing on ending this major conflict, the biggest since World War II, and we are getting closer and closer every day, yada, 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 President Donald J. Trump. So to make it seem like it was his fucking idea and it wasn't Putin, desperate at this point to have 3 days or at least 1 day without a Ukrainian drone or missile being lobbed into Moscow or anywhere around Red Square, right? So that the amount of people that were reacting to the drone nets that were being put up and the downsizing of the Victory Day parade, well, I'm pretty sure got to Putin or some people in his camp, because he did absolutely make concessions, and it wasn't a good look for Putin to have to be like, okay, I will give up 1,000 Ukrainian prisoners of war if you just promise for the next 3 days not to lob any drones or missiles into Moscow. And again, for him to say that Ukraine's part in World War II was a big part, and it's also because of that, like they're not having any they didn't have any celebrations like Russia was having, right? It wasn't Ukraine going out there and begging the Russians not to strike their Victory Day parade. It had nothing to do with that. It was completely the opposite way around, totally an opposite way. But when I first read this, I thought he was trying to shit on or trying to I don't know, like rewrite history as far as Ukraine's involvement in World War II. Like I thought he was trying to say that they had some involvement in starting it and they were responsible for it in some sort of way. So I was really going to rip into that one, but doesn't seem to be exactly what he was saying there. But again, for him to come out and say that it was his idea and that this was isn't in any way an act of desperation on the side of Russia is cute. It was really cute for him to try to cover up for his buddy Vladimir Putin. It really was.
Ceasefire, peace. Of course, this in Russia is a victory day.
I know. I just read it. I'll go past where he reads it, so you don't have to listen to his voice. Here we go.
Brokering shock 3-day Russia-Ukraine ceasefire, 2,000 prisoner swap on the eve of Putin's victory day. Yo, is it happening?
No, no, it is not happening. Again, this was a fucking clear sign of capitulation in this aspect, in this regard, by the Russians. This was a clear indication that Vladimir Putin and the Russians had every fucking idea and had every reason to believe that the Ukrainians were not only capable of, but were ready to strike some way inside of Russia, Moscow, or to affect the Victory Day parade. That's just, there's no way around that. There's no way you can say that you're the big strong nation, you're winning this war outright. The other side can't do anything, like Donald Trump loves to say about Iran, and then have to sit here and be like, well, can we give back 1,000 of your troops if you promise not to hit us? Please don't hit us. We'll give back 1,000 of your troops. Again, which is something that the Russians desperately don't want to see, is the Ukrainians continuously having the ability to send people into the fight. So they would love to keep these people locked up in captivity. They would love to continue to treat them poorly. They come back malnourished and beaten, like we've seen, a bunch of times here on these prisoner swaps. But this goes on.
Wild flex, by the way, because Russia, of course, is a very strong ally of Iran. And so and President Trump is heading to Xi Jinping's China in days.
And again, what are you getting at? What are you talking about?
So is this like another massive power play? The ceasefire comes as Russian President Putin prepares a celebration in Moscow for the Victory Day, World War II. Celebration in Russia, so on and so forth. Trump says he hopes the ceasefire will begin the end of the war. Oh my.
Listen to this.
Great use of photos here. Yeah, Zelensky probably not happy. Zelensky.
How would all right, stay calm, Bri. Stay calm. Like, how would Zelensky not be happy? How would he not come out looking more powerful in this? Like, how does he not come out on top looking like he was the one that okayed basically the Russian parade to have to be able to go on? And can anybody in the chat explain that to me? Like, where is Benny getting this? Like, oh, geez, this is really bad for like how? And like, how can you even come to that conclusion? I'm straining to even compile some sort of reasoning in my head that would lead me to that position, to be like, after 4+ years of war, after this thing was supposed to be over in 72 hours, that the Russian president basically came hat in hand to make that, some sort of deal where the Ukrainians said that they weren't going to strike inside of Moscow for 3 days because they were holding their fucking Victory Day parade. Doesn't that show clear power on the side of the Ukrainians? Like, okay, we have the ability to, we have the willingness to, we have the capabilities, but basically because we're fucking human, what's the word I'm looking for? We'll comply with this. We'll say, okay, we won't lob any drones or missiles into Moscow for those 3 days. That's just, there's no other way around it as far as that's concerned. And it worked too, because, they definitely had to downsize these things. And I want to see if I can play this on the screen like I want. I want to put these things side by side. Let me see if I can try this real quick. Let me try this, because I might have to show the entire screen too. So I'm going to go back to this. I know this might screw everything up, but screw it. It's Mother's Day. We're having a laid-back show here today. Make sure you hit that like button. Like I said, happy Mother's Day to all of you beautiful mothers out there. Please make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not already. But let me see if I can present this. I might have to do the entire screen. Might be the only way that I could do this. Make sure that the sound shares. Do this one. Share this one instead. Hopefully this works. There it is. There's you. There's this. So can you see both of them? Hopefully you guys can see both of them at the same time, because I'll get out of the way too for this part of it. So this is on the left-hand side of your screen is the Russian media monitor coverage of the Victory Day Parade 2026. Left side of your screen, okay? The right side of your screen here is the Victory Day Parade 2022. And I want you guys to see if you can establish the clear differences here in the both of them. I'll play the sound from the new one and I'll mute the old one. And this is kind of picked up at the same kind of positioning of the parade. This is kind of the end of Vladimir Putin's speech where he gives the hurrahs and he says, slava to all the to the prisoners and people that served. So this is kind of picking up in the same aspect of the parade. So this is the difference again. Left side here is the present day 2026 parade. Right side is the 2022. So see if you can see the difference here. Oh, for crying out loud. So is that not going to let me do it? How do I get that back on the screen? See, I told you this wasn't going to be easy. So I got that one there, and then I got this one here. How the hell do I put them both on the screen at the same time? Where'd the other one go now? This is, oh my Lanta. Hold on. Oh, there it is. There it is. There it is. How'd that get over there? All right, I'm going to put this over here for a second. I'm going to make this one big. I'm going to make this one big. Where'd it go? This one? This one. That one here. All right, now we're coming back on this one. Oh, for crying out loud. Bear with me. And then we're doing this one here. And then you guys should be able to see it, right? Right? So that should work there. So you got both on the screen. Both should play, right? Both should play. It keeps going away. Oh, for crying out loud. All right, I'll do it this way. How about this? We'll do it this way. This will work.
Слава вооруженным силам России. С праздником вас. С Днем Победы. Ура!
You see what's going on the right side? You see what's going on? Not on the left. On the left side of your screen here, they're using AI as opposed to the shots of the audience, the shots of the soldiers here. So on the right side of your screen in 2022, you'll see a substantially bigger military presence. Obviously, you're going to notice the fact that they're using armored personnel carriers. They're using, their nuclear launchers. They got tanks and all of this other stuff going on. When on the left side of your screen, they're not doing that this year. Basically, they now implemented some of this like AI slop, this AI bullshit to make up for, the armored vehicles that they couldn't bring up from the front. Again, the soldiers that have been killed, so they didn't have enough to stand in front of them. So check this out. Again, this is on the right side, just in case you just joined us. 2022 on the right, 2026 on the left. Look at how many, look at that. So I'll turn that down so you can. So we're basically at the same point of the parade. You can see the artillery going off. Okay, so look at the shot on the right. So can you see the differences? So the shot on the right's got all of these shots of the big crowd, right? Big crowd going on, the people going through the fucking, marching through the streets here. This one's got basically all AI slop, or it's close-up of just different people in the crowd. So there's a pretty good shot right there. So there's a pretty good, distinction right there. So the left side's basically close-up, really in the face of these people, so you can't really see how many are there, can't really see where they are in the picture. On the right-hand side of your screen, 2022, you can see how much more, substantially larger this is, and the fact that they're covering it as such gives you a clear indication as to their embarrassment as to the size of the recent parade comparative to years past. And it goes on; it gets worse. So it looks to be on the left-hand side, some more AI slop in case you're just joining us here. This is more AI slop trying to, depict it as being the day of, but definitely looks more AI than real life to me. And then wait till you see the flyover. Wait till you see the flyover. So again, look at the size of it here, 2022. Just look at the size of the people there. And then you can see here on the left, it's more close up, right in the face of the people, right?
Российская Федерация обладает полным комплексом средств ядерного сдерживания.
All right, I'll skip forward to, and I'll let the one on the right hand side of the screen keep going on, so you guys can see the size of it. Obviously, the different here. I'll even skip forward a little bit where they start getting into the armored vehicles, so you can see the difference in the two. So obviously the T-34 there, making its way down Red Square, and you can see the rest of the tanks that follow. But none of that came from the 2026 one. But check out this flyover, this AI. Oh, first, here's the North Korean military. You can't miss the North Korean soldiers in the Moscow Day parade for the Russian military. Check this out.
Парадный расчет Корейской народной армии под командованием старшего полковника Че Йонг-у.
There you go. You get the fighters of the Korean People's Army on the left-hand side of your screen. Meanwhile, 2022, they had, their own armored personnel vehicles. They had their own fucking tanks. They had their own nuclear launchers and everything else to go through Red Square. Not so much this year. More utilizing, different things, as you will, like the fighters of the North Korean military. But check out this flyover they used. Check out this bullshit video on the left-hand side of your screen. All right, so here comes the flyover, right? Now look at the AI slop video that they fucking turned it into. Look at this. Look at that shit. Come on. Get the fuck out of here. Look at this nonsense. And again, on the right-hand side of your screen, 2022, actual people in actual tanks, whether they can work or, be shipped to the front, that's another question, but definitely tanks that are mobilizing themselves through Red Square. So you can see the difference in these things, right? AI slop compared to actual hardware that they had, at least in 2022. Look at the slop. And then I think they kind of pair that with some rail footage of the jets going over to try to make it seem like there's either more of them or that it was like a better fucking feat than it actually was. So again, I just wanted to be able to kind of throw that on the screen, go side by side. So I'm sweating up a storm here. My apologies. But I wanted to just do like the side by side to get the accurate comparison there of what the 2022. And again, even before that, they were probably even bigger, than before that. So you can see here it goes on where the nuclear launchers and everything else kind of comes into play on the right side of your screen there. The personnel carriers, but definitely not what they were seeing. Definitely not what was taking place this year. So let me see if I can throw this on the screen, make this a little bigger. We'll go back to actual vantage point. How's that? A little better? All right. Appreciate you guys for sticking with me. At some point, we'll be able to do that seamlessly, where you guys don't have to like stick through me kind of dealing with the bullshit as far as that one is concerned. All right. Let me see if I'll throw this one on your screen now, because this was kind of giving us an update as well on Ukraine. Just allowed Russia to have their parade. So this was Preston Stewart. Let me know. Make sure you guys can hear this video as well. Appreciate you guys.
So Ukrainian
and don't forget before we dive into this, the 13th, mark the 13th down on your calendar, guys, because we're going to have Preston Stewart on the show. We're going to be discussing obviously the war in Ukraine, obviously what's been taking place with Iran, the Strait of Hormuz. So that's going to be a great conversation. Really looking forward to that one, considering the amount of use we get out of Preston's videos. A lot of insight, a lot of information that we use. So it's going to be great to be able to have that conversation as well. So like I said, mark that down, the 13th. So that you guys don't miss that as well. But here's Preston Stewart just kind of giving us an update on the fact that Ukraine was basically allowing or had to allow or was, nice enough to allow the Russians to have their Victory Day parade. A little bit more insight into this as well. Hit that like button, guys. I'm Boston Brian. Slava Ukraine. I appreciate you. Happy Mother's Day.
So Ukrainian President Zelensky very kindly allowed Russia to have their Victory Day parade a few hours ago, but it wasn't seen that way by everyone. I mean, we had Russian mill blogger, two majors, saying that this announcement from Zelensky permitting Russia to hold the parade was, quote, a slap in the face. Now, we'll get into the backstory here in a second. But
can you see already the difference in which this is being talked about, the way that it's being kind of portrayed by people like Preston and then people like Benny Johnson, who have a much more, MAGA-based, cult-like based view on this, a more like Russia propaganda, Kremlin-backed view on this and how they're trying to portray this. So a lot different right off the bat from what you heard from Benny Johnson.
It's true. Yesterday afternoon, Zelensky issued a statement authorizing Russia to hold this parade. He said, quote, taking into account numerous requests.
And this is so fucking good, guys. This is so fucking good. To include, as you can see there, sorry, I'm pointing the wrong way, but as you can see on his fucking statement there, to include the coordinates of Red Square, you know what I mean, is just, it was such a chef's kiss. Like, okay, let's take, and this is again the statement from Zelensky, taking into account numerous requests for humanitarian purpose outlined in the negotiations with the American side on May 8, 2026. I decide, another great way to word it, to allow a parade to be held in Moscow, Russian Federation, on May 9, 2026. For the duration of the parade from 10 a.m. Kyiv time to May 9, 2026, the territorial square of Red Square will be excluded from the plan for the use of Ukrainian weapons. And then he goes on to put Red Square and the coordinates for Red Square, like just in case you're fucking around or just in case you guys do something stupid, we know exactly where to send these fucking things. And then he says, too, this decree shall enter into force in the date of its signing, President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky. So I thought that was very well written from the I decide in bold, in dark, kind of in bold representation as far as that's concerned. And then the coordinates be like, just so you know, we know exactly where Putin's going to be sitting, basically. So I thought that was beauteous.
Humanitarian purpose outlined the negotiations with the American side on May 8th. I decide to allow a parade to be held in Moscow on May 9th. He said for the duration of the parade, the territorial square of Red Square will be excluded from the plan for the use of Ukrainian weapons. And then he gave the coordinates of this, quote, ceasefire. Now, there is actually a ceasefire in place, and more on that here in a second, but this was not exactly received well across Russia. And there's a lot of debate about what was going to happen for the May 9th parade. Two majors, Russian mill blogger said, quote, that bastard knows how to wage an information war. These are the consequences of Shoigu's lies. His arrested and
so again, this is Russian mill bloggers complimenting Volodymyr Zelensky. So I just want to get the context straight from what he's reading here. So he says that bastard knows how to wage an information war. These are consequences from Shoigu's lies, his arrested and convicted deputies, as well as the disgusting ossified information component of the state machine, which accompanies and organizes work in the information field when implementing the most important decisions. For such a slap in the face, a strike on Kyiv could be carried out right now. So again, this is not being received well from people inside of Russia, the people that follow this situation quite closely and know kind of the optics that are coming out of this when somebody has to go hat in hand, when somebody has to ask for permission and request the ability to have their own May Day parade, their own victory parade. Not a very good fucking look, right? It's like Donald Trump and the Americans here kind of, being desperate to get to the negotiating table or desperate to get out of this war when in fact they say they've completely eradicated the military capabilities of Iran, but they're not able to open the strait. They're not able to get us out of this situation. So it doesn't really comport for what you're telling us from what we're seeing on the ground here. So again, to put it mildly, and again, it's not the Russian mill bloggers themselves. I'm sure there's a lot of people in Putin's, circle, people more hardline that want to see the more nationalist point of view come to fruition, want to see, Ukraine in its entirety become Russia once again, that are not fucking happy with the optics, with the look, and people the way that it's being reported on as far as this Victory Day parade.
Convicted deputies, as well as the disgusting ossified information component of the state machine, which accompanies and organizes work in the information field when implementing the most important decisions. For such a slap in the face, a strike on Kyiv should be carried out right now. And there was a lot of debate leading up to this, whether or not Russia should or would actually hold this large Victory Day parade marking the end of World War II. President Trump just yesterday announced that there would be a 3-day ceasefire, May 9th, 10th, and 11th, adding to that there was an expectation of 1,000 prisoners being exchanged between Russia and Ukraine. That could mean, fingers crossed here, some of the Ukrainian prisoners.
Going back a little bit, what do you think? What are the chances? And I know this is a dumb question before I even ask it because it's fucking slim to remote to zilch at this point. But what do you think that Donald Trump has any inclination, any fucking knowledge whatsoever on the history of Ukraine during World War II? Like, do you think he knows anything that they had to go through? You know, the Holocaust by bullets, having to deal with the Nazis and the USSR. You know what I mean? Like, do you think he has any, like, I know it's a stupid question, like I said, before I even posed it, but, you know, for him to even put the mention here of Ukraine in World War II just seems to be like a slap in the face. Like, it seems to be like he just has absolutely no idea what he's talking about, but decided that may sound good in what he was saying, or somebody in his cabinet or somebody in his, like, inner circle thought that it might sound good. But the fact that he absolutely does not know about the millions and millions and millions of Ukrainians that paid the ultimate price during World War II, again, like I said, being caught in between the fascist Nazis and, again, the USSR and fucking, you know, crazed Joseph Stalin. Like, I don't think he has any clue if we were to talk about the, like I said, Holocaust by bullets, what that would even be referring to in and itself.
Prisoners being returned home have been in Russian captivity since 2022. So hopefully that prisoner exchange does take place. Now, the lead up to this saw a lot of concern inside of Russia, where people were wondering, should we actually hold this parade or not, this annual parade? We actually had a number of Russian mill bloggers saying it's not worth it because they said you're going to have to reallocate air defense assets to Moscow when they're already in short supply across the rest of the country. That would open up the possibility.
And they were right. And they would be fucking right, I think, considering, again, the optics in the news and the reporting coming out of the fact that, you know, Putin had to ask for permission to hold this. Not only that, but it would have been bad optics if they did hold it and it was struck. It's bad optics now to ask permission to have to hold it. You know, and it's obviously not a good look if they were to have to remove a lot of air defenses from other places to make sure they can ensure this if, again, they didn't get this agreement from Ukraine. So, again, holding this was a bad look, a bad idea, and was never going to be like the success that Russia wants it to be, like they think it should be every single year. They were never going to have that good look, considering, you know, kind of how lackluster their performance is, how much they've been degraded militarily, how many fucking, you know, soldiers have been removed from the battlefield and are unable to take part in the fucking Victory Day parade, right?
Ukrainian strikes elsewhere. In fact, a couple different mill bloggers said, you can protect Moscow, but that's going to leave other areas exposed much closer to the front. That seemed like the most likely scenario. And Ukraine was doing their part, trolling, kind of suggesting, maybe, we'll see, maybe something in that parade would be hit. Now, Russia took the precaution of making this pretty dialed down. I mean, it did play out, but my God, I mean, the aircraft flying over was like an AI video. I'll play some of it here.
I knew people were going to be talking about this. I fucking knew it. And I didn't pre-watch this. I always like to watch this with you guys for the first time so we could dive into it together. But I knew people were going to have something to say about the AI slop and them trying to, like, I don't even know if they were trying to, like, I don't know, fake it, right? Or if they were trying to, like, you know, make it seem like to the people in the audience, because they did have on the screen playing a bunch of, like, I don't know, slop videos basically of their armor and action and tank shooting and different shit like that, but they weren't actually in Red Square. So it was like they were trying to make it seem like they had it there, but they really didn't have it there, but it was on screen so you could see it, type of thing. But I knew people would pick up on this, like, AI trying to replace, you know, some of their capabilities type thing.
What is that about? There was no tracked or like large military equipment for the first time in 19 years. And it was short. I mean, fast in, out. The international delegation was very limited. Very few international observers came to participate in this event with and alongside Putin. Now, Russia did issue some warnings leading up to this. You could tell that this was the priority, and the focus was making sure this parade went off without a hitch. Again, crazy. Here we are in year 4 of the war, and so much attention is being paid just to make sure this one good-looking parade goes off well. Russia issued a warning when there started to be indications that Ukraine might strike the Kremlin during this parade. They issued a warning. They said, "Hey, everybody, you know, diplomats, exit Kyiv, because if you know they attack the Red Square, no joke, we're not messing around. We're going to hit the decision-making centers." Again, Russian mill bloggers just joked at this and laughed at this, and they said, "Really? That's the thing? That's the line? Is if they disrupt our parade, we're actually going to try to win this war?" Zelensky responded to this a couple days ago by saying, quote, "They want permission from Ukraine to hold their parade, to safely march onto the square once a year and then continue to kill our people and wage war. We've also received requests from some countries close to Russia that the representatives plan to be in Moscow, a strange desire these days. We don't recommend it." And there's all of those kind of veiled threats that no doubt led to a significant toning down of the Victory Day parade. And there's a couple different ways to look at this. One, yes, all of Moscow is within range of Ukrainian drones. And we've got some deep strikes happening inside of Mariupol. We'll play here in a second to give you an idea of the extended range of Ukrainian strike munitions. But Ukraine has hit targets well east of Moscow. That's not an issue. Moscow is very heavily guarded with air defense assets. And as we've talked about in recent videos, there's a finite number of those. Russia is a massive country. And every single night that Ukraine launches drones, they are testing out Russian air defenses to find out where are the gaps, where are the holes, where is the area that when we fly low, they don't see us, or we fly high, they don't see us. All of that is being gathered and analyzed every single day. So one of the questions here was, if Moscow is going to have added protection, what areas around the country, or even in occupied portions of Ukraine, would become vulnerable? And the answer was a lot. I mean, they've already got a lot of vulnerability right now, but the parade went on, albeit again without any large equipment. Russian mill blogger Romanov, not super optimistic with how things are heading right now. He said, quote, "Happy Victory Day. The great victory is the result of an uncompromising, without backroom deals and truces, fight against fascism by our grandfathers and great-grandfathers. In the current war, we should not expect a similar victory. Our grandfathers and great-grandfathers left us a military legacy, which we are now exhausting."
And again, these are bloggers on the Russian side, right? Just again, put context into this to give you guys an update and kind of some information on what we're looking at here. These are bloggers, Russian mill bloggers on what looks to be Telegram on this one, given their indication as to why they're upset with what's taking place in this war. Here he goes on to say, "The great victory is the result from uncompromising, without backroom deals and truces, fight against fascism by our grandfathers and great-grandfathers. Moreover, our grandfathers and great-grandfathers left us a military legacy, which we are now exhausting." Right. So again, talking about degrading the reputation and obviously the people itself of the Russian military. In the current war, we should not expect a similar victory. So should not expect a similar victory to they did in the Great War in World War II, as they're stating here. This blogger is stating here. Says, "Sooner or later there will be a backroom deal which both sides will declare as a victory. For the unwillingness and inability to win now, our next generation will pay a heavy price. But for those who are now attending the victory parade, all this doesn't matter, at least for now." So you could see here when Preston said just a minute ago that a lot of these bloggers were pissed off that Russia and Putin were kind of, in retaliation would strike into Kyiv. If Ukraine were to strike inside of Moscow or hit the parade in any way, that the retaliation would be for Moscow, for Russia to go after the places in Kyiv, the people that make the decision in Kyiv. Meanwhile, these fucking people are like, well, what the hell are you waiting for? You know what I mean? You're either trying to win this war or you're not trying to win this war. And basically what they're suggesting is that they're kind of waiting around for this backroom deal while thousands and thousands of their soldiers get killed every single day. And it's just degrading their military legacy. It's degrading their military capabilities going forward. And they're basically saying that don't expect a similar victory to what they achieved in World War II over the Nazis, because that's not exactly what's going to come from this. That's not what they expect to come from this, which is, again, a good indication as to where the mindset is. These are the same bloggers that in the first days and obviously the first few days of the war thought that this was all going to be over. It was all going to be achieved. It was all going to be, all the goals were going to be obtained. They were all for it. They were gung-ho. And now all of a sudden they're taking a different stance on this, and they're starting to recognize that there's no good way out of this for them.
He says, "For the unwillingness and inability to win now, our next generation will pay a heavy price. But for those that are now attending the Victory Day parade, this doesn't matter, at least for now." Again, pretty pessimistic. And another one of the takes that we saw from a number of channels inside of Russia was the thought and the concern and the focus of making sure this parade went off without a hitch, when there are cities and refineries and bases all around Russia that are on the constant receiving end of Ukrainian drone strikes day in and day out. And those citizens
it's so similar to our fucking government right now. It really is. Like, focusing on the parade when they have, like he's talking about, oil refineries all over the place on fire, the inability to protect cities, obviously thousands of their troops dying on the front lines, is so similar to watching Donald Trump stand in the reflecting pool, right? Talking about painting the bottom of that, talking about $1 billion ballroom. Again, all of the things that we could talk, painting the Eisenhower building going to cost about $8 million. All of these fucking bullshit plans that he's got to put his name on everything. And meanwhile, we got people struggling all over the country. You got people being deported, right? All of the things that that Americans are suffering through right now. And he's focused on all of that. So it's so very similar to the way that the Russian government runs itself. to the way that Donald Trump has now modeled his government after, and the way that he's the supreme leader, he's the autocrat, he's the dictator, and anything that he deems important has got to be important for the country. And if the country doesn't support him, then it's the country's fault because he's the leader and he says it to be important. So you either get in line or you must be a treasonous traitor. So he's kind of taken that stance now where, we could go through a bunch of the details and a bunch of the pieces of evidence and examples already. The Rockefeller building, anything he's trying to put his name on, the fucking, the passports, anything that he's now attempting to establish his name to or likeness to. All of the other problems that we now face in this country that are not being tended to, that this, the Republican power that they now have has not been able to fix. None of the problems that the people in this country are now facing have been, mitigated or kind of, talked about, figured out how we could change that by the people that are now in power.
Really? Like the red line to cross is hitting the parade, but Tuapse down in southern Russia can just get hit day after day after day? Certainly a choice. Now, this comes alongside, this kind of got buried, but yesterday, Azov carried out or released footage of a number of strikes being carried out in Mariupol. I'm going to play that footage here. Actually, before playing the footage, I'm going to pull up a map. I want to show you exactly where this is because the location.
And you guys, I'm sure if you've been watching this show long enough, if you've been following the invasion of Ukraine by Russia for long enough, you're going to remember the name Mariupol. If you've ever seen the movie 20 Days in Mariupol, if you haven't seen the documentary 20 Days in Mariupol, I would absolutely suggest that you go and rewatch that to remember, to put yourselves in the positions of the people that were in there at that time and what they had to go through. But to now see that the Azov battalion, now to see that the Ukrainians are having the ability to once again strike inside of Mariupol, whether that be with drones, missiles, or anything at this point, is a real good sign. It's a real positive sign and is a real fucking message, right? It sends a real message that the Ukrainians haven't given up. They will not give up, and they're going to come for this fucking territory again, regardless of how long it takes them, regardless of how many people, the Russians decide to kill in the meantime. Like, they're going to keep pushing, they're going to keep fighting, and they're back now, right? They're going to, again, like I said, he'll go on and explain what happened with the Azov battalion, but to see that we're now talking about the Ukrainians lobbing missiles and drones and attacking Mariupol, the Russians in Mariupol now, is really, it tugs on your heartstrings. It really does.
And is really, really important. So deep state map here. We've got the occupied portion of Ukraine here in red and kind of pink. Mariupol down here in the south. So the siege of Mariupol, awful event right at the beginning.
And this is where, again, you'll probably remember the steel plant, right? The divisions of that, and basically the Ukrainians had retreated back into the massive steel plant in the area.
The conflict, the Azovstal steel plant was here. We'll see that in the video, actually. But Mariupol, right on the coast of the Sea of Azov. So when you're looking at the distance and the range here, you got to keep in mind, we'll pull up a ruler from, we'll call it down in this area. You got 131 roughly kilometer distance. That generally means that Ukraine is going to be able to range anything in the occupied territory. So let's go ahead and play this clip released by Azov just yesterday. They said, quote, Azov is returning to Mariupol, currently with the help of a reconnaissance strike complex. Pilots of the 1st National Guard Corps Azov are patrolling roads up to 160 kilometers from the front line of combat. The targets of the reconnaissance strike complex cameras are Mariupol and the occupiers' military objectives. The enemy is using Ukrainian roads in the city and its outskirts to move personnel and other military equipment. The 1st National Guard Corps continues to create a sanitary zone for Russian logistics. The depth of strikes will increase. They wrap up by saying Azov is already patrolling.
I mean, that's got to be a really good feeling for not only the Azov battalion, but also the entirety of the Ukrainian military and obviously the Ukrainian people themselves to see that, they're once again going after the soil of Mariupol. They're once again trying to attack and take back, or at least affect some fucking damage to the people that were responsible for the atrocities before. At least, fighting back against them somehow, I'm sure, is a very impactful message that is being sent throughout the Ukrainian military. It's got its message, it's got its propaganda victories, no doubt, but the sentiment that must be felt, especially to people that have a specific attachment to Mariupol, that either fought there or lived there or had family or friends there at one point in time, like that's got to be a real boost, a real kick in the seat of the pants, if you will, giving them some momentum behind them, giving them some energy, right, to make it feel like they're on the right track. The momentum is behind them and they're going in the right direction. So again, pretty cool cool and substantial to see that, again, they're being able to access and to punish the people in Mariupol. That, once again, in fact, if you weren't, like I said, if you weren't kind of up to speed and up to date with what took place in Mariupol, if you joined the war late or whatever, 20 days in Mariupol, difficult watch, absolutely very difficult watch, but gives you probably the best look and insight as to what the Ukrainians and not only the civilians, but obviously the Ukrainian military went through in their fight there.
Native Mariupol, for now, from the sky, but more will follow. Now, the Russian response to this, of course, not super optimistic. Rybar said, quote, "The described air defense problems are evident. There are too many drones, and air defense systems lack sufficient ammunition. The only solution is adequate layered defenses with interceptor drones."
And again, this is what we're looking at here. If I'm getting this correctly by the symbols on there, is Azov footage of their drones flying over again the Azovstal plant that we've been looking at. That was so famous in the battle and the siege of Mariupol to begin with. Now flying over that territory once again. But this time having the upper hand and seeking out the Russians that are now occupying that territory.
Still underdeveloped in Russia. Air defense guns, aviation, and other components. It's important to understand one obvious thing. At the current pace, more strikes on Russian regions will follow. What worked over the past couple of years is no longer relevant. And without changes in air defense approaches, difficulties will only increase. That seems pretty evident at this point. Again, I think the focus right now in the first half of 2026 needs to be the degradation, the destruction of Russian air defense assets. Every one of those opens up another corridor. It's a snowball effect. Every one that is destroyed opens up more areas for Ukrainian drones to fly. And it is shocking that we are 4 years into this war. The Kremlin is worried about their Victory Day parade being interrupted by Ukrainian drones, because it can be. And we were watching clear middle of the day footage of Ukrainian strike drones 130 kilometers behind the front line hitting Russian logistics in Mariupol. They're already targeting the next city. Now they're hitting Mariupol. You can see the trend line of where this is going. And it's not just me observing it, it's the Russians as well. We're seeing more and more Russian commentators saying, hey, this is a problem. Our soldiers can't get to the front lines. And when they do, we can't keep them resupplied. And now our logistics are getting hit further and further back. And every single day, more Russian air defense systems go down. Watch this trend in 2026, because it's on.
And again, all of that good news, all of that is trending in the right direction for the Ukrainian military. And that's not to suggest that everything is going the Ukrainians' way on the front lines and there's not absolutely problems to overcome and things that we have to worry about. That's not at all what anybody's saying. But as far as these aspects of the battle, as far as being able to consistently push the line as how far behind the lines that they can attack, increasingly back in the amount of struggle that the Russians have to go through to get, like he said, men to the front lines, equipment to the front lines, supplies to the front lines, the better off it is for the Ukrainians. And again, their ability now to go back into Mariupol and at least put some hurt on the Russians. I'm sure it's going to be a little bit of time here if in fact everything goes their way before anything is taken back in totality, right? But at least they can affect some change, at least they can affect some damage and put some hurt on the people now occupying that territory. But that leads me to this last clip that I wanted to show you here. I believe this is from The Sun, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, this is from The Sun. And this is just kind of detailing Ukraine hits Chechnya with drone army and Flamingo missiles, strike oil sites deep inside of Russia. And again, this is from just a day ago. So let me see if I can throw this one on your screen as well. See if we can get any insights as to what may have been, taking place outside of the scope of, Red Square, outside of the scope of the May Day, the May Victory Parade. See what else they've been targeting, see what else they've been hitting here. And again, this is the Sun exclusive. I believe this is a Jerome Starkey exclusive, as we've been looking at, over the years here.
Chechnya is under attack from Ukrainian drones in the third strike this week that is over 1,000 kilometers. As hollow posturing over ceasefires has left Moscow nervous for its Victory Day parade.
And again, I should say this was put out yesterday, so probably recorded even the day before. So again, probably not the most up to date as far as what took place on the Victory Day parade. But otherwise, the information is up to date.
My name is Jerome Starkey. I'm the defense editor.
Oh, Angela, thank you so much. It was just really bright pink and caught my eye out of the corner. So, Angela, thank you so much for that really, really kind donation there. I feel like we're going backwards, and I was born before the Civil Rights and Voting Rights Act were passed. Now the VRA is gone. We're being ruled by an idiot who only finds solace in real estate rehab projects because that's all his brain is capable of. Hard to argue. It really is. But, I kind of feel like, Angela, in some way you can take solace in knowing that we were always going to go backwards, right? I know we've kind of talked about to a great degree that, it even surprises us, the people that were telling people that this was going to happen and knew that this was a possibility, how far we've been degraded, like just how backwards we've gone. So I know that's, kind of something that we have to contend with as well. But, take some solace. And I'm sure, Angela, you were one of the smart ones speaking up against this before he got into his second term, and I'm sure during his first term, something that we couldn't deal with, something that we couldn't stand, something that was going to be detrimental and dangerous, not only to us, but also to the people of the world. So it's a little bit of, an area in which you can take solace, something that you called. But obviously, we're trying to work every single day to mitigate the damages, to make sure that we, can show people exactly what's taking place in their everyday life and why that's taking place, who's responsible for those damages, why you're paying the gas prices that you're paying, why your fucking groceries are costing what they're costing, why your energy bills are so high right now, right? That's what we try to do with this show. So we try to utilize the resource in our best, to the best of our ability to, again, hopefully get the best candidates picked, to get people on the right side of history, to make sure they're making the best and most accurate and educated decisions when they're going out there and casting their vote for, hopefully, people that are willing to get down and dirty, to do what's best for the people, and aren't going to just lie through their teeth, go in there and do exactly what all of these, not all of these, but, most of the corrupt politicians, most of these soulless hacks that we think about when we think of that position do when they get in there. So, but thank you so much, Angela, for your really, really kind gift in this in there. I appreciate you.
At the Sun newspaper, and this is Frontline, your weekly roundup of the most important news from the war in Ukraine. As we're recording, Grozny, the capital of Chechnya, has been hit by at least 2 Ukrainian drones. Strikes in Hankala district, reportedly close to a building used by the FSB, Domestic Security Agency, and also unconfirmed reports of a strike close to the headquarters of Russia's 42nd Guards Motor Rifle Division. That is about 1,000 kilometers from the closest Ukrainian territory, and it comes after a series of these long-range strikes this week, a real show of force from Ukraine, and what President Zelensky has tongue-in-cheek, slightly mockingly called Ukraine's long-range sanctions against Russia. Also today, and slightly closer to home, we've seen reports of strikes on the Slavneft refinery in Yaroslavl. That's some 700 kilometers outside Ukrainian territory. Also reports of strikes at a paint factory in Rostov. That's only 100 kilometers from Ukrainian territory. And also strikes in Crimea, one hitting a bromine factory. That's a chemical used in all sorts of manufacturing, also in water treatment and in the oil industry. So perhaps part of that ongoing attack on Russia's hydrocarbon industry. Russia has claimed that there have been between around 900 drone strikes, and Moscow also claiming some 1,300 ceasefire violations. I'm going to come back to what they mean by ceasefire violations later. While we're on these long-range strikes, on May 7th, the longest strike this week, an oil refinery in Perm was hit. That's 1,500 kilometers from the closest Ukrainian territory. That's a refinery on the edge.
So again, talking about, taking the fight well beyond the front lines here and making not only the Russian government, but also the Russian citizens very aware at the lack of their capabilities or the ability they have to protect the entirety of their infrastructure, the entirety of their civilian population, and the entirety of their military installations. They just can't do it. They don't have the resources. And now they're showing, basically, Ukraine showing off their ability they have to not only take out sites, close to the front lines, but sites here that we're talking about some 1,500 kilometers behind the front lines, deep into Russia, which again you would think would have substantial air resources, air defenses in place. Again, knowing the importance of their oil infrastructure, their ports, the ability they have to pump it out of the ground, to store it, and then obviously to get it onto ships into the different places that they need to obviously get the money that they use to keep the war going. You'd think they'd have again, this huge military, you'd think they'd have the ability to put the defenses, the air defenses around at least these substantial, infrastructure pieces that they have. But, obviously Ukraine showing day after day after day that not only if they do have defenses in place, they're definitely not substantial enough, and Ukraine definitely has the ability to get around them, or in fact, they just are left wide open, and Ukraine has the ability, like they've shown. Now I'm blanking on the name of the site there. Anyway, we talked about it just the other day. It was hit about 4 times. 2 ops. My apologies. Just blanked on that for a second. But the 2 ops facility that we've been talking about, that's been hit multiple times now. Like, you'd think if they had the resources to stop the Ukrainians from striking that, they would have shown that by now. They would have trucked those in. They would have flown those in. They would have done something to show the Russian citizens that they are not only willing to, but able to put up with or stop the Russian, the Ukrainian drone attacks on these sites, the missile attacks on these sites, but they can't do it. They don't have the resources. They don't have the ability. And again, Ukraine continues to show that they are stepping up their game, not only in long-range missiles, but also in the drone capabilities. We've seen that day after day after day, and they continue to make Russia feel the pain.
Mountain.
And again, I think they call them kinetic sanctions, right? So I like that term, the kinetic sanctions placed on the Russians by the Ukrainians. Again, we talked about them trying to mitigate the benefit that Russia would see from the uptick in oil prices. Again, they don't want to see Russia be able to put billions or millions and billions of dollars in their coffers to continue to fund this war. They want to make sure that they put as much pain as humanly possible to, again, mitigate the differences in the oil prices, which they've been doing a fantastic job, as we've seen in multiple oil refinery strikes, port strikes over the last few months.
It's important, that location, because the Urals was where Stalin moved so much of the USSR's arms industry during World War II to move it away from Ukraine. And
it's a good point too. That's a good point too. Never really thought of that aspect, right? So hitting into these positions in which, I forget the exact number now, but I think the USSR moved, I want to say 150-ish, 160-ish total factories, complete factories from geographical places closer to where the Nazis were attacking, way deep into Russia, into the Urals. So again, think of that undertaking in and of itself to move these, the tractor factories and the different factories that they were utilizing to keep the war machine going. Just literally uprooting those and moving complete entire factories and the people that worked with them to distances that are incomprehensible to us right now, and to set them back up and keep them in, so again, it's probably a big message being sent to the Russians, knowing their history, knowing their passion, and kind of the religion that is World War II, that is sent to, the sentiment in Russia, how much they know about these areas. So that's another aspect that I didn't really think about, that Jerome was touching on there, kind of the message being sent to, like, hey, if these areas can be attacked, if these areas aren't safe, then there's probably not many areas that you can consider safe within Russia. So again, the mental games being played here, kind of the mind wars that are being played with these strikes as well, might not just be the damage that they're looking for, and not just be the destruction of the facility, right? If you send in 1, 3, 4 drones in there, you're not expecting this huge substantial damage, right? You're just kind of sending a message. Hey, look, we can attack this if we want to attack this. We know where it is. We know how to get through the air defenses. And we just want to make people in the area kind of well aware that we know where the fuck you are and we can hit you if we want. So it's a lot of, there's a lot of gamesmanship to this as well, too.
Western Russia, where it was vulnerable to the Nazis, he moved it into the Urals. That was supposed to be the sort of safe harbor for Russia, and Ukraine is hitting targets that deep. That was the Lukoil Permaneftiorg Sintel refinery. Also reports that an apartment building was hit in Perm, suggestions that building may have been close to a factory that makes parts for engine aircrafts. 2 days before that, on May the 5th, President Zelensky said that a Flamingo missile had been used to hit a factory in Cheboksary. That's 1,000 kilometers inside Ukrainian territory. Interestingly, though,
and it's crazy. Again, every single one of these videos that you're seeing on the screen is coming off a Telegram.
Missile flew over 1,500 kilometers, so 500 kilometers more than the line of sight between Ukrainian territory and the target. And that could mean a couple of things. We don't know where it was launched from in Ukraine. I routinely measure these distances from the closest patch of Ukrainian territory. And of course, it also means that missile may have taken a circuitous route.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing that we got to, be aware of too, because we keep talking about some 1,500 kilometers behind the front lines, 100 kilometers from the front lines. We don't know, specifically, we don't know exactly where these are coming from. So they could be, even more substantial of strikes beyond, just kind of like he said, he's kind of just taking the closest range, closest point from the front, closest point that Ukraine has a stronghold in, that it's likely to have been launched from, trying to calculate the distance that they're striking. So it could be, a lot more impressive than even what's being reported. You know what I mean?
Avoid Russian air defenses, but nonetheless, all a show of Ukrainian capability. Now, I mentioned earlier that Russia was complaining about violation of ceasefires, the violation of a unilateral ceasefire. Both sides have posited ceasefires this week, and both ceasefires have come to nothing. And this is how it started. Last week, we talked about how President Putin and President Trump had held a phone call. And after that phone call, both of them claimed that they had suggested a short ceasefire. And that ceasefire was to cover the May 9th Victory Day parade. So we're recording this on May 8th. That is Victory in Europe Day. That is when...
So like I said, I figured he was kind of recording this the day before. So just kind of the details as far as the May Day parade went probably weren't going to be up to date. But obviously the strikes that he's talking about that Ukraine were involved in, definitely accurate and up to date anyway. So what do you say? I'll get you guys out of here a couple minutes early today on Mother's Day, so you guys go give your mothers a kiss, give your mothers a hug, give your mothers a phone call, whatever it may be. Enjoy the rest of your day with your friends, your family. I really do appreciate you guys for sticking with me and making sure you guys support this show. It's kind of been an honor. It's been really a privilege to be able to bring this show to you guys and to have people kind of frequent the chat and come back and kind of see some benefit to the show that we've been doing for a few years now. So thank you guys for all of your help. Thank you guys for all of your support. We talked about earlier the Iran's response to Donald Trump's plan. So remains to be seen. Should I check that here? I probably should. I'm just going to check this real quick before I get you guys out of here, just to see if there's any nonsensical return response that he's been responsible for after the Iranians' alleged response from what's been reported here. Let me just see. I'll put this on your screen. It's got to verify that I'm a human first, as it typically does. And let's just see what this arsehole's put on here. I'm just curious if he's had any written response. 8 minutes ago. Let's see. 11 minutes ago. All agencies must buy no excuses. Decades watching. Yada, yada, yada. That's not about it. Palestinian Chuck Schumer. Jesus Christ. So that's not about it. All right, here, let's see what he says here. Iran has been playing games with the United States and the rest of the world for 47 years. Delay. And then finally hit pay dirt when Barack Hussein Obama became president. He was not only good to them, he was great actually going to their side, jettisoning Israel and all other allies, and giving Iran a major and very powerful new lease on life. Hundreds of billions of dollars and $1.7 billion in green cash flown to Tehran was handed to them on a silver platter. Again, this ridiculous, nonsensical talking point, especially when you calculate the amount that we've spent on this war, when you calculate the amount of frozen assets that is potentially going to go back to Iran per the deal that Donald Trump is currently now fucking trying to make, is ridiculous. Not only that, but I'm pretty certain that the $1.7 billion was already Iran's funds anyway. So much like the frozen assets, the frozen funds that they already had made up, that was in a different, count held by the United States. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it wasn't flown over in a plane, in fucking greenbacks and handed over to them in a silver platter. Again, ridiculous talking point considering what this war has already cost us, right now in general. So it also says that every bank in D.C., Virginia, and Maryland was emptied out. It was so much money that when it arrived, the Iranian thugs had no idea what to do with it. Does this talk about the fucking response or not? Good God. They had never seen money like this, yada, yada, yada. They finally found a greater sucker, yada, yada, yada. He was a disaster, a leader, not as bad as Sleepy Joe Biden. So he just doesn't say anything. For 47 years, the Iranians have been tapping us along, keeping us waiting, killing our people with their roadside bombs, destroying protests, and recently wiping out 42,000 innocent unarmed protesters and laughing at our great country. They will be laughing no longer. What does that mean? This means absolutely nothing. But that is, again, right around the same time that the Iranians allegedly responded, right? I mean, we talked about this. Here, I'll put it back on the screen just before I get you guys out of here, right? Throw this on the screen here. Yeah. So this says here, where was it? This one right here? Iran has formally submitted its final response to the United States proposal via Pakistan. With the negotiations focused solely on ending the war, nuclear is completely off the table. with Iran having drawn that line in April when Tehran said nuclear issues could only be addressed in a separate agreement after the war ends. So again, only talking about, even speaking on the condition of nuclear capabilities after an agreement has already been made for the war to end. So not going to be part of the agreement, but going to be talked about afterwards per what this is saying here. So this is put out 4 hours ago. When was this one? When was Trump's statement? So yeah, an hour ago. So well after that news had already been reported. So let's see. Is there anything else that he fucking says? Because that didn't make any sense. Just really didn't address anything. No, because that's 21 hours ago, 21 hours ago, 21 hours ago, 18 hours ago, 17 hours ago, 6 hours ago. So this is like kind of right around the time that it was announced that they had responded. So absolutely nothing here. Even put this out 14 minutes ago that says nothing as far as I could see about Iran, a ceasefire, negotiations, escalations, nothing. Not even addressing it from what I could see. Looping holes, federal government buying. No, it says absolutely nothing. So I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine on what his response is going to be. But like I said, it is being reported that the Iranians are responding, have responded to Donald Trump's, proposal, the 14-point proposal. I'm not sure what the exact details are. Like we said, it's not even the both sides speaking to each other. It's not like it's the United States negotiating with the Iranians. It is the United States negotiating with Pakistan. Pakistani nationals or negotiators negotiating with the Iranians. And then on the other side, it's the Iranians negotiating with the Pakistanis, which then have to relay that to the world and to the United States. So again, it remains to be seen what's going to come from that. I'm sure there's going to be no shortage of shit to cover from this ongoing. Whether, again, that's going to be escalations or these useless negotiations is up in the air. It remains to be seen. So we'll be there to cover it. I appreciate you guys. Let's get into thanking some people on Venmo. If anybody was kind enough to send in, a little bit of assistance for the show today, they say right here, we'll take you right to that. $1 or $2. That's all we ask for. That's all we ask for, guys. Anything above and beyond that is totally up to you guys based on your financial capabilities. I don't drink coffee, but if you want to send in $1 or $2 to help me, purchase a Gatorade or a Powerade, that would be fantastic as well. But thank you guys to everybody contributing. Let's go through the list here as we always do. Give you guys your moment in the sun, your spotlight. So thank you so much. First off, Roger, very much appreciate you both, Karen and Roger, as always, for your contribution. Thank you so much. Allison, appreciate you for your contribution as well. Let's fucking go right back at you, Allison. Thank you so much. And then Yakov, as always, my brother, thank you so much. And please pass on a happy Mother's Day to the missus. I hope you guys are having a fabulous day. Hopefully she's got her feet kicked up somewhere. She's got somebody kind of scrubbing on the toenails, if you will. What do you call it? A pedicure? Pedicure? See, I'm not in that field. I'm not in that world. My apologies. Don't get many mani-pedis or many manis or petties. That's tough to say. Not easy to say. But thank you, Yakov. I appreciate that. Who else on the list today? And then over the last couple days, thank you so much. I want to say a huge thank you to Nancy H. Very much appreciate you. Happy Mother's Day to you. You are such a shining light in this community. I really, really do appreciate your contributions. Your generosity really goes a long way in keeping us going, Nancy. I just want to make sure that you feel the love that I feel from you. She sent in a very generous contribution and said, buy a couple of gallons for your car. Appreciate you, my friend. So again, right back at you, Nance. W's Nance in the chat as well. And then W's everybody else as well, like Jeff. Thank you so much to Roxanne. Thank you so much to Victoria and Tom. Thank you so much to Geneva. Thank you so much to Cynthia and Peter, Debbie, moms, all of you fantastic people. V. Sawyer, Jenny Faye, and Corey. Thank you guys so much. Thank you, MR. Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Nina. You guys are unbelievable. You're fantastic. And again, go a long way in keeping this show growing and going. So thank you guys so much. We'll get over here to the people on YouTube now. Bobby Slack starting us off today in the right direction. Much appreciated, my friend. Slacks. Got to give him the slacks. Got to give him the slacks. Much love right back to you, brother. Happy Mother's Day to all, says Slacks. And again, from everybody here at Blunt Politics, my family to yours. Happy Mother's Day, everybody. Love to all, Brian Talters. Right back at you, Slacks. Appreciate you, my friend. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you so much for your kind contributions. Thank you so much, Victor, for your 5, my friend. Putin says Russia-Ukraine war coming to an end. Reuters reporting. Let me just type that in real quick, just in case I'm not missing anything. I'll do Putin, Reuters See if that pulls up anything. Putin is ready to talk with EU, but won't make the first move. Kremlin says that was 2 days ago, 2 hours ago. Putin says the war may be ending. Why now? Is this what you were talking about? Throw this on the screen just before I get you guys out of here so we can get the most up to date. Throw this on. Is this what you was, I'm sure this is what you was talking about at some point. Putin says the war may be ending. Why now? Reuters World News. Is it a video or is it an article or just a video? Just a video real quick. Let me see, real. Let me see. Can you play it?
Hi, I'm Tara Oakes in Liverpool. It's Sunday, May 10th. Today, passengers start disembarking.
Is that AI? I'm sorry. If it's not, I apologize. But that just struck me really quickly as being AI. But is this about Putin? Looks like it's talking about hantavirus. Putin says the war may be ending, and then they go on to talk about hantavirus. I hate when people do that. But anyway, we'll see if we can touch base after the show on what he's talking about there. But thank you, Victor, for pointing me in that direction. I'm sure it's some sort of Russian propaganda, Russian bullshit. I have no doubt whatsoever. But Victor, thank you so much for your kind contributions. As always, very valued member of the community down there. Thank you so much for the 5. Hope you're having a wonderful day, and happy Mother's Day to anybody in your household that it pertains to. Please pass the message along. Like I said, hope you're having a good day, my friend. Shifty Lincoln, what's going on, pal? What's going on, brother? Thank you for the 5. I'm waiting to see the jaw muscles give out and he can't hold his mouth shut anymore. Now, that could be with 2 things. That could be pertaining to two clips on the show today, Shifty. That could be either to Donald Trump not having the strength again. Should we show that? Yeah. Is Donald Trump again not having the strength to hold his fucking head up? In case you guys missed this at the beginning. Look at this. And it's quite literally in a post of one of his, his propagandist on Twitter trying to say that 79 is the new 39. Like he's so, look at how strong he is and tough he is and how much he's working for the American people. He never sleeps. Meanwhile, he can't even hold his head up. Looks like a race car driver after a long race. You know, they come out of the race car and their neck just kind of flops. Well, obviously not the pros that have been working on it for a long time, but any amateur that does a long race, they're like, that's what he looks like. Like he can only be the arm or the neck at the same time. Like he doesn't have the body strength to have both the head and the arm up now any longer. But again, check out the post. Check out how deep into Donald Trump's ass do you have to be to post this? 79 is the new 39. President Trump is aging in reverse. What? No, he's not. He's literally dying in front of your eyes. What are you talking about? That's the opposite of what you posted. No, I appreciate you, but thank you, Shifty, for the $5. So that could have been either to that one or again Don Jr.'s part in tonight's show, because the jaw muscles on Don Jr. I don't know if they can last much longer either. So 2 aspects in which you could have been talking about. So I appreciate you, Shifty. Thank you so much. Hope you're having a good day. And like I said, happy Mother's Day to anybody in your household that it pertains to as well. Thank you, Deb, for 11 months of loyalty. Thank you so much. Happy Mother's Day. No matter how looks for each of us. I'm a mama dog and a bonus mom to 2. Well, again, love you, Deb. Thank you so much for your contributions. Thank you so much for your loyalty. Happy Mother's Day to you. Appreciate you for chiming in there. Good to see you in the chat. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you so much to Rocks. 26 months. Let's go. Tempest, fuck it. What's that mean? When you're having fun or not, time flies. Tempest, fuck it. Am I saying that right? I don't know. What's going on? I feel like I'm being pranked. Is that like Pig Latin? Is that a different language that I'm not sure of now? God damn it. You just tricked me, Rocks. Well, I appreciate you, Rocks. Happy Mother's Day. Thank you so much for your contributions. Thank you so much for your work down there as a mod, keeping that chat a safe place as well. Thank you, Wes, for your contribution. There is no peace, only the promise for peace in the morning. Vladimir Putin. Is that his quote? You pull out some weird shit, brother. I got to say, Wes, you pull out some weird shit. But thank you so much for the 555. Thank you so much for your contribution. Keeping us on our toes as usual. But thank you, Bethany. Happy Mother's Day to you, Beth. Thank you so much for your kind contributions. And I will pass on your Mother's Day wishes to everybody else. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you, Vinny. What's going on, brother? 19 months as a member. I appreciate you, dude. Happy Mother's Day to all the lovely ladies right there with you, Vince. Thank you so much for being a very, very, very valued member of the community. As always, thank you, Jackie, for becoming a new YouTube member. Appreciate you. Happy Mother's Day, Jackie, if it pertains to you or anybody else in your household. Appreciate you the contributions. Thank you, Tiff. What's going on, Tiff? How are you? What up, Brian? Come hang out tonight. We love it when you're on the panel. Promise not to mute you. All right. Appreciate that, Tiff. Thank you so much. But I think we got some plans this evening to hang out with Mom. So we'll see how late the festivities go. But thank you so much for your contributions. Appreciate you being here and your support as always. Thank you, Yakov, best pro-democracy community on the internet. I second that right there. I very much believe that same thing, Yakov. So I appreciate you for helping grow that platform, for making it what it is. Thank you so much for your loyalty, your friendship as well. Very much appreciate you, my brother. Thank you so much for the $2. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms. We love you, from Yakov. Appreciate that, Yakov. Thank you so much. Thank you, Angela, for becoming a member for 18 months as well. Appreciate that. Thank you, Bald Thanos. Don't forget your mother-in-law either. Yeah, everybody should be getting the call. Everybody's getting the call today. No discriminations. No discrimination. So, Bald Thanos, thank you so much for your contribution. And thank you, Angela, for this very, very generous super chat there. I feel like we're going backwards. I was born before the Civil Rights and Voting Rights Acts were passed. Now the Voting Rights Act is gone. We're being ruled by an idiot who only finds solace in real estate and rehab projects because that's all his brain is capable of. And again, a lot of these things, not a lot of these things, but some solace that I take is the fact that Donald Trump has still, in large part, has only been able to rule by executive order. I know there's some real damages being done, and it's going to be a long time for some of those damages to be kind of fixed, or if they could be fixed at all. So I'm not saying there's none of that out there as well, but there's a lot to take into the fact that he has been completely unable, and his government has been completely unable to put a lot of these bullshit things and these dangerous things they want to see put into society into law, right? So these executive orders that he's been signing, the only good thing that I could see is like a lot of those things can be immediately thrown away, reversed, changed. But again, things like you're talking about here, the Voting Rights Act, and obviously civil rights in general are a lot deeper and are going to be a lot more. It's going to be a lot more substantial to try to rehab, to try to fix those, and it's going to be a lot further into the future before those things get done, considering the damage being done to them now. So again, not on every aspect is what I was saying correct, but a lot of those things that we've been talking about, he's kind of ruled via executive order to a large extent. So it's, at least there's some positive to come out of that. But I appreciate you very much, Angela. And again, like I said, to a large extent, you're absolutely right. And there's nothing I can say against that whatsoever. So appreciate you. Happy Mother's Day if it pertains to you and anybody else in your household. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you, moms. Good to see you. Love you, Brian. Love to all the lobsters out there. Very much appreciate you, moms. Happy Mother's Day. Hope you're having a fantastic one. Hope you guys all enjoy some relaxation, or you get to do some activity that you guys have been really looking forward to doing. Or again, like I said, just sitting there getting pampered with your feet up. That would be fantastic as well. So thank you, moms. Thank you, Dame, as well. Happy Mother's Day. Dame says to everybody in the chat, shout out to Dame. Very much appreciated as always. JD giving 5 gifted Boston Brian memberships. Let's fucking go. I appreciate you, brother. I really, really do. Keeping this thing running, going in the swear jar. Well, I can't put memberships in the swear jar, but you know what I mean. I appreciate you, JD. Like I said, happy Mother's Day to everybody in your household as well, and all that it pertains to. Thank you to Tiff, member for 22 months. Love you, Bri. Happy Mother's Day, lobsters. Right back at you, Tiff. Thank you so much for your help, your loyalty, your passion, your commitment to the show. Really, really means a lot. We owe you the world. That goes for all of you mods out there that have helped this channel grow. I can always say that I've been blessed with the most fantastic mods on the internet. And again, not to claim them as mine, because I know a lot of you fantastic mods are out there helping different channels as well. But somehow I've been blessed to get you fantastic mods to stick here with me in Blunt Politics. And I really, really do appreciate you guys for it. So thank you, Tiff. Hope you're having a wonderful day as well. Thank you, DPD. Happy Mother's Day to you. Here's a tip, Boston Brian, for you to have your first manicure or pedicure, which I know you will enjoy. Happy Mother's Day for everybody. Oh, thank you so much, DPD. I don't know. Never really been my cup of tea. Never really been something to float my boat. But again, there's a lot of things that I have yet to try, but I'm sure will kind of be a life-changing experience, or an eye-opener to say the least. So I'll have to take your advice at some point. I'm sure I will. So thank you, DBD. Really appreciate your kind contribution there. Happy Mother's Day. Hope you have a great one. JD, let's fucking go, brother, with the $13 contribution. That's going in the swear jar. I knew at some point it was coming. I knew I was going to be right at some point. So JD, thank you so much. Very much appreciated. I will see you guys on Tuesday for the Tuesday show. I'm sure we're going to have to dive into a lot of the details coming out of the Iran response, what Donald Trump, the United States military, what Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu and the Israeli military is going to do in response. So again, what this is going to turn into is kind of anybody's guess still. This still very much has the possibility and the likelihood of escalating to bombs and missiles dropping once again. So we'll have to keep up on all of the craziness, all of the nonsense going from there. And obviously, once the ceasefire is lifted on the, tomorrow? Tomorrow's the 11th. So once the ceasefire is lifted tomorrow from, Volodymyr Zelensky's permission per Russia to be able to have their May Day parade, well, there's obviously going to be more to get into that as well. So make sure you stick around. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit that, the notification bell, the alert bell. That way you get alerted whenever I put out a short or a video or we go live. That way you don't have to kind of be on top of the schedule. If you forget, if you're doing something else, you kind of get that alert, the buzz on your phone. That'll let you know if it works. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. If you want to go to bostonbrian.com, you can check that out too. That has the entire schedule for every week, all the shows that we do. That has the Zoom schedules for anybody that's signed up at patreon.com/bostonbrian. 3 great tiers on there. If you can sign up for those, you get access to the Zooms that we have every month. You can sign up for a channel membership just underneath me here. That is way less than a gallon of gas. Get your membership for a month. Some fantastic ways for you to contribute to the show. There's our merch site as well. Head over to bostonbrian.com for the merch site. There's a link to the merch site there. Excuse me. And that gets you access to some really good designs. I think we have some of the best graphics out there for a smaller channel out there. We're definitely punching above our weight class as the merch is concerned. Definitely tells people on what side of history you lie in kind of, your beliefs. There's no hiding that. But, we are here at Blunt Politics, so that's how it should be. All right. I'll let you guys go. I appreciate you. Thank you so much to everybody contributing. Love to the mods. Love to everybody on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, and Substack. And again, like I said, if you can come out of pocket with $1 or $2, that would go a long way in helping the channel. But at the very least, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. All things are free. Both those things are free. It doesn't cost a red cent for you to do it. And it goes a long way in showing the algorithm that you care. Shows the algorithm that you like what you're watching. So it'll share it out to us, some other people. So I'll see you guys Tuesday. I appreciate you guys. Happy Mother's Day to everybody. Hope you guys enjoy it. Hopefully your sons and daughters and everybody out there is pampering you guys to no end. So I appreciate it. Thank you guys. Hit that like button on the way out, and I will see you Tuesday. Love you.
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую. Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
God bless the United States. The kidney has a very special place in the heart. It's an incredible thing. Out to officially name the undisputed. When did this come out? What in the hell was that all about? I said mud. I said crud. You fall into some crud or something?
Tell the director to call the White House. Do your fucking job!
I'm just dandy. I got a bowl of chocolate pudding in my underpants. What in the hell was that all about? He says rectum damn near killed him.
Hey, you got a little chubby going there.
For miners, do we love miners? I love miners. Oh, get those lights off!
Вітаю, Бостон Брайан. Мій позивний танцор. Я представник 72-ї бригади. Дякую тобі і твоїм підписникам за цей донат, за цю чудову машину, яка буде нас возити усіх на позиції, захищати Україну і наближати перемогу. Разом усі до перемоги. Дякую.
The big, fat, sloppy United States.